So, welcome back to Down Under Network and the ANZ Team Championships 2019. This is round 2, and we are joined today by, on my right, your left, the lovely Josh McGowan.
How we doing, guys?
Just remember to unmute yourself when you say hello.
How we doing all?
And we have Mike Bask from Objective Secured coming in all the way from WA. We might tinker a little bit as we go today because we've got a venue that we're less familiar with. There's some sounds and stuff that we're trying to avoid, like generators and air conditioners, so we'll be playing a bit. But we are looking at Team Victoria versus WA, a perfect matchup for having Mike on the stream with us.
Absolutely.
So we have the VIC ANZ 40k rep being myself. We have Mike, the WA ANZ 40k rep. And we have the lovely Josh McGowan, who can be the unbiased mediator when I...
There's still probably going to be surprised.
All right.
We'll see which state puts in more bids in the donation bin.
See, it's not even unbiased, man, because technically I'm a Victorian.
Leave yourself unmuted for a second. We'll see what the chat thinks.
Chat. All right, are you getting any echo, chat?
Yeah, if you can give us a bit of a heads up of how the audio is coming through, and that would be grand. Do you want to give us a bit of a plug of the Southern Hemisphere Open, Mr. Bask?
Yeah, absolutely. So show is 2 weeks away today, actually. We have our annual convention. This is the third year it's run. We call it the Southern Hemisphere Open, or SHO, or show for short. It's 3 days, and it's a whole raft of different... I think we've got 16 different game systems of tournaments and events happening over the 3 days. We've got painting workshops. We've got, I think, 10 different role-playing games a day over the 3 days. We've got a whole bunch of retailers coming. We've got Gundam workshops. We've got, we confirmed last night that live action roleplay is going to be happening on the day as well, so you can come and actually bash each other with LARP weaponry.
That's awesome.
There's a whole bunch of stuff going on over the 3 days, and we try and add more to it each year. And we've had a lot of success this year from the back of the last 2 years. We've now got rather than third-party support, we're now getting official support. So Privateer Press have gotten involved, Warlord Games have gotten involved, and we've had the email, but I haven't got them in my little hand yet. We've actually got official Games Workshop trophies for all the Games Workshop games that we're hosting as well. So if you've seen the chainsword, the gauntleted chainswords for 40k that are a trophy from sort of the mid-2000s, we've actually got a bunch of them coming for the 40k events that we're running, and we've got Galmaraz hammers for the Age of Sigma ones. We've got
so
the official...
those chain swords, they're the one that are kind of like on a plinth?
Yep.
Yeah, they're a sick trophy.
So yeah, we've got a whole bunch of official support coming from all the different retailers now, which is really awesome. We've got the official organised play packs from X-Wing, from Fantasy Flight Games. So plenty going on over the 3 days, and it's our biggest event of the year. And we've got 40k happening every day. We've got the first official Kill Team pack, where actually Games Workshop wrote the players pack for us and supplied it and published it. So it's using the Adepticon format. We've also got that's the trophy right there, actually. So you change that's on screen.
Yeah, I'm pretty good at thinking on the fly and a good old Google search.
There's also a matching Age of Sigma hammer that goes with that one, but I haven't seen that because the old version for Warhammer Fantasy Battle, they updated it slightly. We've also still got Australia's only Grand Clash for Warhammer Underworlds that happens as the second annual one, although I believe, talking to the team at Mount Gravatt, they're looking at hosting a Grand Clash later this year at Mount Gravatt. So, lots of exciting stuff going on for WA gamers, and for anyone wanting to make the trip over. There are still tickets if you feel like coming to Perth. Alternatively, if you are in Perth, go and grab your tickets now. They're going to be on sale probably up until Thursday, a couple of days out, and then the general admission you can still pick up on the day, but all the tournaments will close off the day before the tournament starts.
What's the best place, Mike, to check all of that out for all the deets and whatnot?
So if you can either head to our Facebook page, which has got all the links, or you can head to objectivesecure.com.au, and in the menu tab across the top of the website, there's one there called Southern Hemisphere Open 2019. So if you click on that, it'll take you to the website, and you can then get tickets from there as well.
Very nice.
So yeah, we've got lots going on, and then there's no rest for the wicked, because just as we finish organising this one, we've then got the WA Team Championships. Our version of what we're watching now.
Mate, you're making it difficult for us guys that are heading over to ETC, though.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's not ideal, but Josh is probably familiar with the trials and tribulations of organising venues for things as well, so you take what you can get sometimes.
Oh, mate, for sure.
We're going 2 days with that one, though, because we really want to encourage some teams to come over from the East Coast. So we're going 2 days, 5 games, 2,000 points, full ETC format, basically.
Yep.
So that's awesome.
The fantasy trophies, are they the skulls that look like cups?
No, so talking to Andrew at Mount Gravatt, those were done exclusively for that, and they'll be the ones that go out for those sorts of events going forward. The hammer is
so it is the Age of Sigmar hammer. Yeah.
Gazmaral.
Yeah. So it used to be Galmaraz, but they've updated it, so it's now a Stormcast hammer, apparently. I haven't seen it, but we've been hassling them now for over 12 months to get at least one of each.
I'm sure it'll look sexy.
We got the email back from them on Thursday saying they were going out priority shipping with UPS, so hopefully they're here in time.
Very nice.
Otherwise, there'll be some players who get a stand-in trophy, a certificate of some kind until they turn up.
Yep. All right, so what we might do is give you a little bit of an update of where we're sitting with the current game, then we'll give you a bit of an update of how the previous rounds have gone. So we'll talk through some lists and we'll get on going. So let me pop this on up. And make this a little bit easier to see. Something like that. That'll do. It's a professional operation we have going on here.
Always. We expect nothing.
There we go. All right. So we've got Stuart Trainer from Team Victoria with Tyranids, and Benjamin, I'm not going to embarrass myself, from WA with Gene Stiller Colt. So we'll bring those lists up. So Stuart's list, as we can see, is a whole bunch of Termagants, Old One-Eye Malanthrope, so that's a Leviathan detachment. We've got a second Leviathan battalion with triple Broodlord, and then 3 units of Termagants. So what's that? 140-ish Termagants?
Yeah, like just shy of 150, basically.
And then we have a third detachment, which is Cult of the Four-Armed Emperor, which has your Acolyte, Icon, Patriarch, a Primus. Then we have 3 units of Acolyte Hybrids, all with 2 units with Heavy Rock Saws pretty much maxed out, and then we have a small unit of 10 with Hand Flamers. And fast we have the Chlamydia guy, Clamavis.
The Clamavis, yeah, for the and in this game that model is going to be crucial, and I'm 90% sure Ben's got one as well. It's probably worth
the 10 Hand Flamers as well.
Yeah. Well, the detachment, it's actually a Brood Surge as well. So he spent a CP to get that, and then he spent another CP to get Field Commander. So all 3 of those characters in that Brood Surge have Warlord traits, because he spent another CP for the Brood Coven stratagem as well. So you've got the Inspiring Leader Patriarch, which is obviously there for Mental Onslaught, because this is all obviously pre-FAQ.
Yeah, exactly.
The Primus with Alien Majesty gives him 9-inch auras on his 2 buffs. And then the Field Commander, I'm trying to remember what that one does actually on the Icon Ward. I'll look that up while we're
The Augur of the Insurgent. Yeah, I'm not 100% certain on that.
I'll just bring it up now. Give me one second.
Reroll charges. No one just came in on chat.
Oh, it is.
Oh, good job. Thanks, no one.
40. No on 40.
No on 40. Adam and I, so for those who are long-time Down Under Network watchers, Adam Camilleri, who's currently playing for Team Victoria, who was too scared to play on the stream table. He had the option, but it's like, nah, this ain't right. Nah, well, it was the table. The list that he's playing, it's hammer and anvil deployment. So if I just hide the browser for a second. The deployment's hammer and anvil, and the matchup against Jake O'Grady, he wanted a more open terrain table, nowhere you can hide a whole bunch of stuff. And so, yeah. So he picked,
makes sense.
Yeah, he decided to take the game seriously.
Weird.
It is weird. Yes, and so Stuart is playing against Ben, and if I bring up his GSC cult list.
Well, before we go to Ben, what's going to be interesting about the Tyrannid component of Stuart's army? You've obviously got that Malinthrope there, which I'm assuming will be used to give -1 to hit to all those Termagants sort of strung out. You've also got the Horror on one of the Broodlords alongside Mental Onslaught and Inspiring Leader and the Climavus, which means you've actually got a decent stack there for Mental Onslaught if you can get the power off. Old One Eye as well, lurking around in that detachment, is actually a really good deterrent for a lot of the smaller Jinx Occult units if they do make it there. And even, like, he'll kill a Patriarch pretty reliably. So it's actually an interesting choice of matchup. Do we know who picked this?
This was the last selection, so it's what was left.
Okay. So this was literally the table that's left with the team, with the players that were left.
Yeah. So the last two picks. So pick 7 was Lockie versus Matt Clegg. Lockie playing the two big.
The Forge World flyers for the Custodes, the Orions.
And he didn't want a table where his opponent could just hide in buildings.
Yep.
Basically, what it came down to. And so he picked the other table, which left this one being left.
Oh, fair enough.
Interesting little tidbit that if Stuart here had left a few extra points for reinforcements, which he didn't, if he was smart about it, he could almost auto-win against this list.
How so?
So GSC, because let's talk about
Ben's list.
Ben's list. So Ben's list is GSC with Tyrannids. So he's got Acolyte Iconward, Primaris, 3 units of hybrids, Roxor, Then he's got another GSC Cult Brigade. This one's mixed. And the first one was 4-Armed Emperor. So this one has Patriarch, the Sniper Biker dude.
The Jackal, yep.
The Jackal. A Magus. Then he's got Flamer unit of Acolytes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units of Brood Brothers.
With mortars, yep.
And then he's got Clamavus, Kelemorph, Nexus, 9 more Jackals, or 9 attack Jackals, 2 Armoured Sentinels, and 3 units of Brood Brother mortars with a support Neurothrope. So if he was to put everything in blips, which at the moment he pretty much has, if Stuart had points for the Sporefield pre-game strat, he auto wins because
how's that?
Because the Sporefield can deploy within 12 inches of the blips, and before the game can move within range of those blips. And
but that's not an auto win, because then you can
pay you can pay some CP and move 3 of those blips into,
and you can pull 3 more, so you can pull 3 off and then you can move 3 more, so you can save 6 blips straight away.
Yep.
And you can have 3, if you spend CP, you can have 3 extra blips that are nothing blips as well. So there's 9 blips of.
When do you have to do all those though?
When you've got 18 CP and it's cost you, I think that's a total of 5 CP or 4 CP that you've had to spend to do that. That's not a big deal.
No, but it's the when part. So
what do you mean?
Well, all right. So the the timing in when you add the extra blips. So the extra blips, I believe, is when you're deploying a blip, right?
Yeah, which,
yep. So
I mean,
you have
the games I've played, I would always have done that anyway.
Yep. but the extra blips probably wouldn't necessarily have solved it. But regardless, I think it's a moot point because he doesn't have that in his list. But I mean, there's an easy fix to it. There's an easy fix to it, and that is simply deploy a unit of models.
Well, he's also the neurothroat. The neurothroat has to be deployed. It can't blip.
Effectively, though, you can still take out a lot of those blips.
What's the stratagem called?
Which one?
Spore field.
Yes. Spore field? Yeah, it's a spore field, I think.
So they have to be set up more than 12 inches away from enemy models.
Yep, that's fine. But then they get a pre-game move.
Which can't get them closer than 9 inches.
Yes, it can.
How are they getting that pre-game move, and how does that get around the limit on the blip?
Because the blip is within the movement phase. It said you can't move within 9 inches, I believe.
I'm going to bring that up. If you can tell me how it's getting the pre-game move.
Mate, you're going to help me out here. I don't have all the books in front of me.
I'm just not familiar enough with Tyranids to know how to look it up.
Here's what we'll do. We'll wait for Eric to just smash out his game, and he'll just come out and tell us.
He's already done it.
Yeah, he's the one that told me about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm going to try and figure it out while we're here on the air, because I've never heard of this interaction before, so I'm curious to understand how it works.
I am liking this.
Yeah, the NID list looks really good.
So we just had we finally had a rules question come my way. So it's gone to the floor judges. The floor judges have come to me telling me how's this gonna fly, and it's the first question I've had which doesn't. The answer isn't it's in the FAQ or just finish the sentence. I'll explain some of those in a minute. But basically, the interesting little one is a player has drawn priority orders, and he has to secure objective 1 with his Warlord, but the objective 1 is wholly underneath an enclosed building, and the bike can't get into the enclosed building, so therefore it's technically impossible to get, so he's allowed to discard it. It was a really long-winded scenario, but it's a weird one to see.
Always revert back to, if you can't actually physically achieve it, ditch it.
Yeah. Are you muted?
Probably.
Yeah, if you can't physically do it, ditch it. The other thing, the most common one I've basically said is read your FAQ. But I had this one where I had to judge, which was, is this objective within the deployment zone or not? And I said, well, what does the mission say? And they read half of a sentence and said the objective has to be wholly within the deployment zone. I'm like, yep, can you finish that sentence for me, please? And it's like, where's that little sheet? The sentence says, however, if an objective marker is within the enemy's deployment zone, you can choose to raise it, blah, 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 blah. Is it that one? Now I've got to find it. Anyway, long story short, the end of that sentence was, to be determined as wholly within, the center of the objective has to be within the deployment zone. Like, it was literally just finish the damn sentence that you just read to me.
How many times have you been to an event or, TO'd or whatever, and people come up with rule queries to make you read the next paragraph? It's like when they go through, like, there's your rule, you go, just read that bit?
It's insane. I don't get it.
The worst one that I get over here is players say, yeah, I've read the rule, and you go, okay, cool, show it to me, and they produce Battle Scribe.
Oh, mate.
And Battle Scribe, obviously, a lot of the time has abridged versions or player-read versions of the rules.
Or ones that haven't been updated from an FAQ.
Yep.
Or just a general, we're going to write thereabouts.
Yeah, exactly. So you go, no, give me the actual codex or the rule book,
From the guys who designed the rules.
And even sometimes it's just a case of players, they go, oh, the rule works this way. And you go, no, read it. Don't tell me what you think it says, read what it says.
Yeah, just read it out loud for me.
Everyone I play against plays it like this.
Exactly.
Oh, therefore.
I'm still trying to figure out where this pre-game move you're talking about comes from, man, because I can't find it. I've got the Tyranid Codex here in front of me, and I've been through all the stratagems, the Warlord traits. I don't know what I'm missing.
So we just
Even
messaged
so,
Eric.
under the blips
Leviathan.
entry, it says that none of their units
can
can be
walk.
set up or end a move within 9 inches of an ambush marker. So it's not movement phase; it's end a move.
Yeah.
So you couldn't use the spore mine to get within 9 anyway.
We
Unless
will.
there's-
Yeah. I've got Josh on the case. He's roaming. He's roaming. He's got to find
I'd
Eric.
be really interested to know what it is because I've got both books here in front of me, and the only reason I've got the Tyranid book is I wanted to put lictors in my Gene Stealer Cold Army because they're cool. So
Yep.
yeah. Anyway.
So you start. You put it on turn 1. He has his turn. You put him to turn 1. Then you have your turn. You put it to turn 2.
So I've just found Eric, who was a bit hard because I had to scout the hall, but he's about a
very
foot and a half
short.
below everyone else. So, but I found him. I was looking for this carpeted gaunts across the table. He's right in the middle of his turn, so I don't want to interrupt him.
No. It's just one I'd be keen to understand the interactions of it. Firstly as a TO, but obviously as a player as well.
Yep. All right. So
I'm just looking at the game at the moment while they're still deploying, and that horde of gaunts just looks so good. Like there's no space for deploying anything there.
Yep. Also, you know what's really impressive is someone who's streamed a lot of horde lists of late. Look at the colours. Like we can actually see the different units. It's outrageous.
I know.
I mean, this is a new era. Stuart the Kid Trainer. I believe his parents, his grandparents, his family, his cousins, his whole, every single person closely related to this guy, I believe, is watching us. So if you are in the chat, Trainer family, feel free to say hi.
And depending on how much you like Stuart, you can obviously hassle and jeer as much as you like.
Yeah. So Stuart's one of our patrons at Down Under Network. So good lad. He knows where it's at. Knows who to support. No, I'm kidding.
It's a really impressive army because this is 150 Termagants, and there's still like another 60-ish acolytes, isn't there?
Yep. So the list has another.
I'm assuming
15,
those acolytes have all gone into
40 acolytes. Yeah, I can't see them on the table. I'm fairly confident they're going to be deep striking.
Yeah, there's no blips there that I can see either.
No,
so
he's
I'm
pretty much
assuming
said that he's deep striking them, but like, as in pre-event. I think though, I mean, there's a possibility that there's a possibility those are blips, but I highly doubt it.
yeah, it doesn't look like it.
No, that wouldn't be logical. So there'll be reserves for deep strike.
Okay, so just
Here we go.
gotten the working from Eric. Basically, he says that you can set that spore file mod up anywhere. It has only relation to models. Blips apparently are not models, so that might be the conflict of things because spore mine fields can be set up anywhere on the table, just further than away from actual models. But if nothing's deployed, they can set up anywhere. So there's no pre-game movement or anything like that. They just set up on top of it.
There you go.
So, so basically because it only relates to models, no board sides or anything like that. So
Yeah, but my counter to that would be that it says none of their units, and it does. So the stratagem does say their spore mine units may be set up or end a move within 9 inches of your ambush markers. You're adding 2 units of spore mines to your army, because that's what it says. It says you can add up to 2 units of spore mines to your army, and then set them up anywhere on the battlefield that is more than 12 inches from any models. When you look at the blip rules, it says that none of their units can be set up or end a move within 9 of an ambush marker. So, my argument there is there's a must, which says you can't deploy within 9, and then the other one is a may, which says you may deploy more than 12 away.
Yeah.
So, I'd still say the Gene Stealer blips would deny that, but it's definitely worth going and digging around and seeing if there's any other precedents. But
yeah,
I've been told about this, and I just look at it and go, so you basically got to have, it's the same thing as like trying to shoot shells at things and auto missing to get them within there. It's just like so one army with one specific stratagem, whatever, can deal with it. I'm like, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
It's like some unique loophole to whoever plays Tyranids. And what is there, only like 2 in this entire event?
Well, there's 2 of them on the screen in front of us.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. It's just like, I think Eric's playing them, but you go, it's a very rare case that this Tyranids would have that ability to do that, in a regular setting. So.
And sorry for the delayed response to Bartosz, which is NZ40 Cabal. No, we haven't taken the sandpaper to the Codex. So for those, that's a sporting reference to some cheating Australians at cricket. Because, that's definitely the audience that we have here at Down Under Network.
Would certainly look like New Zealand did well in round 1.
Yes, so that was something we were going to come back to. I'm glad you bring that up, Mike. So let me.
It's almost like I'm trying to create segues for you.
Yeah, let's go have a look at this.
I'll create a segue. So if you're looking at the stream table right now, all those gaunts are actually painted the exact same. So he has painted them in a colour scheme. Well, the colours you're seeing is actually rubber bands. Which you see a lot of these guys going. Yeah, so he hasn't painted them yellow and pink and red. They're the exact same colour scheme. It's the rubber bands that are showing up. So I think that's fantastic.
Right. All right, cool. All of the good things I just said about Stuart, I take them back. I take them all back. No, I'm kidding.
Stuart says you're a lovely man. You can tell by his smile.
All right, so round 1 saw Queensland against ACT, and Queensland got 134 battle points to 26, and so they got a big win. So that result consisted of basically
everyone winning
except Mick Larkin against Matt Morrisoli, the Victorian.
The Merc.
The Merc that's been flown in all the way from Melbourne at last minute with, I think, 48 hours notice to play an army he hasn't played before. So top effort there from Matt. But yes, the Queensland team got the job done. Vic got a 94-point win against the Merc team. So Queensland 2.0.
That was looking pretty dicey in the last few minutes.
Yeah, it was pretty close. So that's those games were a lot closer. There weren't any massive wins. So the biggest win there was a 17-point win, and that was to Adam Camilleri from Down Under Network. But you'll see there that we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, technically 6 wins for Team Victoria, but there's an 11, there's 2 13s, so it's actually quite close. You need 86. You need 86 battle points to get a win, as you can see by the bottom left-hand corner.
Yeah.
New Zealand got a win over South Australia,
wasn't it?
Yep. So that had a lot more one-sided games on both sides. So South Australia got 2 20-point wins, New Zealand got 3 20-point wins, and then the remainder of the games for New Zealand were like 16s, 15s, and 18s. So it's really good win. So that's what, 5 wins to 3? No, 5.
It's also interesting looking at the way they've done the matchups. Can we see how the Gene Stealer Cult mirror match happened? Like, when was that in the process?
In this round?
No. So round 1, we had New Zealand and SA.
Yep.
And somehow we've ended up. So it was actually chosen as a mirror match.
Apparently.
That's an interesting call, because I've played a mirror match with Gene Stealer Cults, and it's a pain in the butt.
Yep. And then the final one was WA got a win over New South Wales. So that had WA with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wins to 2 losses. And once again, a couple of really big wins. And Pete looks like he went down to Dave T.O.
Yeah, T.O.'s army is an interesting one.
Mate, yeah, it is.
But he is a bit of a savant in that regard. So
we are talking about it first round. We're saying, encouraging everyone in the chat to actually go look at it and have comment on what they thought. So
it is. It does feel like starter box. Hammer.
Yeah, it is. And talking to some of the WA boys at the end of round one, from the sounds of it, the table played a critical role in that game. In that the table that Tio picked was one that was really dense in terms of line of sight blocking, which meant that Pete's, I think it's 15 or 18 Centurions, essentially had really limited arcs of fire, which obviously, looking at the score, let Tio just run away with it.
And that's the joys of when you're throwing your list up, you get to pick your table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
And Tio capitalised on that clearly.
And we were talking about that last round where you go, there's so much in it. You know, if you see like a little mistake, you can sort of forgive it, because these guys are running through all their matchups, all the possibilities, you know, all this sort of stuff. We explain the process of, you know, how lists are thrown in, how they're matched. If you go, there's many cogs to this. And something as simple as that, like when you look at it on paper, you go, oh, that's a shoe-in. Like, I'll be able to smash that. And then I'm like, you remind yourself that this is a room filled with top best players in the country. And you go, someone wouldn't be taking that if they didn't have tricks up their sleeves, or it had a very distinct plan within the team to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jeez, I'm trying to tag Benjamin here in a post, and it's difficult. There we go. So that was the that was the last round.
Fourth round.
That was the fourth round. So if we go look at the current standings. So we've got Queensland at the top on 134 battle points, 1 win. WA 1 win, 108. New Zealand 1 win, 99. VIC 1 win, 94. Then Mercs, New South Wales, South Australia, ACT.
And look, I mean, without too much disrespect to the ACT, even the three teams, apart from them that have lost, the losses weren't insurmountable in that regard.
Also, I would imagine, Queensland have... So if we go look at this round, Queensland are currently playing New Zealand. So it's going to be a bit of a tougher matchup, so it's going to bring them closer together.
Absolutely.
I'd put money on Queensland getting the win there. ACT and South Australia are now playing each other. I think that's going to be a much fairer, closer matchup than the previous one.
Yeah, exactly. And then obviously that leaves the New South Wales and the Mercs, doesn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
Which again, so all 4 rounds, they're actually reasonably well paired for round 2 in that regard for the results.
Yeah, for sure. And for those of you interested in the Dream Team leaderboard, so at the moment, Lachlan Riggs' Dream Team is currently in the lead. Pete Platel's coming second, and I am currently coming third.
I want to know what you did to my account, because I haven't been able to add a Dream Team for this event.
Mate, I haven't touched your account. So, Claymore and Taj? Good luck, Stu, from Mum and Dad. Go Vix.
So, who's Stu from Vix?
Stu, on stream. Yeah, go say hello. We'll see if we can get him to say hello to his folks. Yes, so if I go have a look at Lockie's team, for example. So, Lockie's picked Liam, he's picked Simon, and he's picked Eric, so 3 Queenslanders. Obviously, Queensland players are going to give up, or have given up quite a few points, or gained a few points, I should say. Adam Camilleri got the big win. He's backed himself in the Dream Team. Tom White, Mitch Byrne, and Lachlan Carter from the Mercs. So yes, it's it's clearly a reasonably strong team. If we go have a look at the players, the highest number of Dream Team points is currently Lockie on 46.
I'm right in saying now you obviously can't add a Dream Team anymore, can you?
No.
Yeah.
You know what? We might do something for you if you want to join in. We just can't let you win anything.
No, it doesn't bother me.
So for those interested, he got 20 battle points, so that goes 20 Dream Team points. He won, so he gets 6 there. He was the second defender, so he gets some points, and he won as the second defender, so he gets some points. He tabled his opponent, and he doubled the opponent's victory points in all 3 categories. He slayed his opponent's warlord while keeping his alive, and he gained points for ending the game naturally. So if you don't finish your games, you get negatives. So yeah, that's how we're looking so far.
The stats at the end of this event,
All right,
because
so we've
they're
just
getting
joined.
longer than most 40k events give you in terms of game time.
Yeah.
So it'll be really interesting to see, how many games actually don't finish, because they're what, 3.5 hour rounds, including matchups for this event?
Yes.
3 1/4,
believe
3.5.
so. I think 3.5. All right.
So in my head, at 2,000 points, every game should be finishing.
Yeah, I think the issue is they're like there's a certain amount of time allocated for pairings, but people always take longer.
Yeah, but I mean, like last year we had 15 minutes pairings and 2:45 for the round.
Yep.
Essentially, this year you're going to get half an hour for pairings and 3 hours for the round.
Yeah, so in theory you should be doing all right.
Like we should be seeing every game finish, or at least get to turn 5. Like I'd really genuinely hope that was the case, because if it's not, then I don't know. Like the game we're watching right now could easily be a 3-turn game in 2 hours 30, 2 hours 45.
Yep.
But if the guys keep on top of things and play actively rather than passively, then they should still finish.
Yep.
We're going through it now. We're pretty much almost through the shooting phase, and these boys are going quick. Combining stuff, they're talking it through. So that's pretty much the shooting phase already done. So,
Well, the good thing is, I mean, I dread to think what the Termagant shooting phase will be like once the majority of them get in range. But neither of them especially shooty armies. I mean, I'm assuming what we're watching now is mortar fire, basically.
yep, that's correct.
Because Ben's got, I think it's it'll be 14 mortars, I think it is.
Yeah, and he's got through every single one of them, so they're basically going like that's it now.
Yeah, it's a handful of auto gun shots, or las gun shots for the Brood Brothers, I should say.
Yep. So no mucking around. They've already worked out their points, and he's straight into his movement phase with advanced rolls.
So I guess it's also worth pointing out, I mean, you made the comment about average turns and stuff. So at the moment, no one got less than 4 turns. No one got less than 4 turns. Apologies, one game got 3. One game got 3.
Oh, wow.
By the looks
What
of
was the matchup without shaming your people?
it was Knights versus something.
Really?
If I have a look at that, it was Knights versus GSC.
Okay.
Yep. But yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of games that ended in a tabling. So those turns aren't really calculated as far as averages. But yeah, we're looking at 5s and 6s across the board with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players out of the 48?
Yeah.
48, yeah. So out of 48 players, we had 6 players. We had 4 players get 4 turns, and 2 players get 3. Everyone else got 5 or more, which I think is I think that's a good showing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, we're not seeing that at the competitive end anywhere else. Yeah, I'm switching chairs. Yeah, sure. Why not? Oh, this is a much comfier chair. Jeez.
So looking at what's going on now, I'm assuming that Ben went first with his Gene Stealer Colt.
Looks like it. Yeah.
And I mean, he's obviously got 2 objectives there at the moment. But Stuart's going to look like he's going to control at least 4 of them at the end of the round.
Yeah. So mission 2, we have Scorched Earth for Eternal War. I think we've got.
Alright, so we've got Ben here from Western Australia. He's just going to talk through his turn. So you go to the chat, Ben.
Yeah, so nothing much first turn. Just sit back, waiting for provide support on. Objectives waiting out.
Yep, and so you got the 1 objective over here on number 2.
2 and 5.
2 and 5, yeah, and we've updated that so the chat can see. All right, beautiful. All right, we'll check back in. And by the way, Stu, Mum and Dad's on the chat and they said good luck.
I have to give a lot of credit to Stu's deployment at the moment as well. He's being really careful to zone out Ben's turn 2 drop.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming, and it's only a guess, but I would assume that he's going to use Generations in the Making, the VIC strat, to stop laying in wait from the Hand Flamer bomb or from the Jackal deployment, which will obviously hurt Ben's army, particularly the Hand Flamer bomb. If he stops it now, then either the Hand Flamers or the Demo bomb waits a turn, and that'll actually hurt Ben's army quite a bit because both of those units are really needed to clear those Termagants.
What is it, Claymore and Taj? We got Mum and Dad. Who are we talking to? Because I don't think he was embarrassed. He had a big grin on his face. See, they all pretend like they're embarrassed, but deep down, I know they all love it. But yeah, now moving forward that, so he basically he's weathering this. As you said, he's got good spatial awareness. He's punching out to basically, if the game goes on, there's a few more advances. Those drops are basically just coming out in deployment zone like they were. So it's there's no advantage to it at all.
Do you know, it's hard to tell from the camera angle for me, do you know if he deployed his Genestealer Clamorvis on the table, or is that deep striking?
I'll go for a walk and have a look.
Thanks, dude, because the deep strike denial bubble that the Clamorvis gives is a 12-inch no deep strike, which I'm wondering whether he's snuck it up near...
Yeah, it's like the Phobos guys, yeah.
Yeah,
whether it's up near... 1 second.
Objective 6 is probably where I'd want it. Somewhere at the back of that building near Old One Eye and the Broodlord.
I don't want to sort of give too much away. What's the actual model look like? Is it a guy?
He's the dude with the DJ mixing deck and the speaker on a stick.
Yeah, that's currently sitting on his tray off table.
So he's going to use it for the buff for charges rather than the deep strike denial.
Yeah, it looks that way. So
okay,
because I know the blips went down inside the buildings out along the side. And stuff like that. So with that objective 6 in the top corner, there is some blips there. But yeah, it's in his tray off table to the side, so it means it's obviously not deployed. So
it's an interesting model to have handy because originally when I started writing cult lists, I was only including one for the +1 to charge that it gives, and obviously the leadership buff it gives. But the more I've been mucking about with army lists with the cult, the more I like the idea of having a couple, because then you can use them in those situations where you need to deny. Like, he's a 55-point model, he's not super expensive, and having a couple of them lurking with some cheap Brood Brother units or some neophyte units to help deny these sorts of things is really important.
Yeah, 100%. Like, we've been ever since, like, basically my groups and stuff like that, we were talking about the Phobos Marines where they go, you can't deep strike within 12. Like, why isn't every character you own just upgraded to Phosphorus? Like, if you're taking a lieutenant, take him in, Phobos armor.
Absolutely.
Captains and all that. I'm like, the cost difference is undeniably strong for what it is.
Yeah.
You factor that in of even stuff like maybe with Inari coming out, we might see more Howling Banshees and whatnot, where they're getting +3 and all that.
Oh, absolutely.
Things that way. And you're going, like, this board that they're playing on has craters. So you're going, you can't come within 12 and then you neg 2 to charge me. It's like pretty much you go, well, there's nothing, I can't commit. And eventually, if you get to turn 3, they're going to have to.
Yeah, and then you stack that obviously with those Phobos Marines as well with 2 wounds each. They're not as easy a kill as a standard Space Marine anymore. Like the second wound really does add to them. I mean, things like Dark Elder Disintegrators and heavy weapons will do a number on them, but that's not surprising. The fact
even
is,
your little auxiliary characters, like, you can have characters wrapped within units.
Yeah, absolutely.
Doing the same thing.
And if you've got one of those,
a 32 mil base sort of distance off of it, then you go, it beats 9, doesn't it?
Well, the other thing is you've got that, particularly for those infiltrator squads, you've got the what do you call them? The Helix Prime, the Apothecary model, which only makes those units more durable.
Yeah. 5+ you just get them back or heal one, and then they can be paired up with apothecaries, can't they?
Yeah,
Because they
absolutely.
use different keywords, so you can essentially get 2 Marines back a turn.
Yep.
Yep. Oh, there was more of a question than a statement, but I'm
No.
fairly
As
certain
far
that's
as
how it
far as I'm
works.
aware, yes, you're right. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So, and that's like I've been finding like a few of my friends in my groups and stuff like that have been really going to town on apothecaries, just for the fact of auto healing, big units like Centurions and stuff like that, or getting just a single model back.
Yep. And stacking it
Even
with an ancient as well.
100%. And then when you're looking at especially combat units, when you start returning units to coherency, and if they're on a 40 mil plus base or bigger, like the amount of movement you just add to that unit to get them into combat. You're turning a 8-inch charge into a 5 to a 6-inch charge.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like it's massive in those regards. So
It's interesting what's going on. I'm assuming that's the Neurothrope in the middle there.
yeah,
At the bottom of the screen, around a big unit of acolytes. Is that right?
that is correct. Yeah, so that's his just normal acolytes, and that's his Neurothrope in the center. I might just go for a walk again because the chat doesn't need to see my ugly mug. I'll stand by the table. It's getting all convoluted with the amount of models that Gene Seal Colton and all that.
Yeah. Well, I've
arms
just seen,
everywhere.
I'm pleased. I wasn't going to say anything, but I've just watched Ben move. I can't tell what that is at the bottom right of the screen near Objective 5. It's a single model on a 60 mil base.
Yeah, that's a Scout Sentinel.
Okay, because he has left quite a gap at the back there. And whether or not you could sneak a unit in at the back there with the Gene Stealer Cult deployment, I don't know. It's hard to tell from the angle.
Yeah, it's looking very tight if they do it.
Yeah, but until he moved that Sentinel, there was a gap there.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And that would have been a real problem because if you can sneak one of those acolyte units and the Clamorous back there, where you're getting a +1, they're 4-armed Empress, so it'd be +2 with a reroll.
Yeah.
Getting a 7-inch charge off of one of those Roxor units is bad.
Yeah. So it's just he looks like he's covered all his bases in regards to that. So
until he moved that Sentinel, there was a gap, and I'm glad to see that he closed it.
But even then, you go like this is the thing we struggle with. You can't say anything. So
no,
I don't
exactly.
see him measuring it. So you just he might be able to do it still.
Yeah.
But I just don't want to allude to the fact because I'm standing outside behind glass, so they can't hear anything I say.
It is tricky, isn't it, to obviously, sometimes you want to ask questions like, oh, did you do this? But in simply asking that question, you're giving information.
You give it away. Yeah.
So this is actually the furthest the streaming table has ever been from the streaming desk for any event we've ever done. So I might just do a little bit of it once again, the things you're never meant to do in a live stream. So all the way over there. All the way over there, we've got 1, 2, 3 tables, but long ways between us and the stream table. There is 2 20-meter USB extension cables, which are just all the way down there, all the way along the wall.
And for those of you paying attention at home, I'm getting the Twitch stream like you guys, so I get it about 15 to 30 seconds from what I'm hearing. So it's making covering the game interesting for me.
Well, it's actually interesting you say that, Mr. Bask, because this event is the first event we've ever been to where we've got good internet. And when I say good internet, I mean good internet.
Well, yeah, I'm actually watching at 720p at the moment, which is what you're streaming it at. So,
well, we have had in round 1 and so far in round 2 a big fat 0 drop frames.
wow.
Not everyone in the stream will have a clue what I'm talking about, but some will, and that's a big a big difference between what we're used to with Australian internet.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's actually a chance we could just share our screen. The internet's probably fast enough that it wouldn't impact it.
Well, we might see about trying that for another game.
Sure. Probably just do it now. We're going to we're just going to invite you there. Check your Google Hangouts.
Yeah, so like we were talking about in the first game, when sort of look at that one deployment and they're like, oh, there's we don't know why that's going to put out there, or vice versa, and then you have a look at what screening. It's very very chess-like, very cat and mouse, where you've got two players very aware of the threats and the ranges that they can come in at and do. And basically, we've watched almost 2 turns now, just cagey movement, buffering to try and protect, and wait out until turn 3, when basically someone's going to have to commit their troops. And then you've got the response drop in regards to that. So whoever got second in this game, could potentially have a very, very big advantage if their screening's been done properly.
So I'm watching that Adelan Jackal unit be deployed.
Yep.
I'm assuming that he's used lying in wait to deploy them at the 3-inch mark.
Possibly, yeah.
So the trick will now be, does Stuart four-armed Emperor perfect ambush to stop them shooting in the movement phase? Or does he stop extra demolitions? Or they're probably the two I'd pick. I'd almost say you're better off stopping shoot in the movement phase. But if you let him burn those 3 CP to shoot in the movement phase, but then stop extra demolitions, that probably does you more in regards to that unit, because then they're shooting shotguns at you and 1 grenade, which essentially gives you more opportunity to waste them.
Yep.
Because then he's still burning those 3 CP. And then he gets to shoot 10 shotguns. Or 9 shotguns. So it'd be a decision as to whether or not you want to see him waste CP.
Yep.
Or whether you...
Yeah, I'm just trying to show something that...
We just took some close-up photos of the board just so we can get a better understanding of where the troops are and show off the terrain and whatnot. So Div's just trying to work his magic.
Okay.
I mean, I'm pretty good at thinking on the fly. Just give me...
Yeah, I have to think, looking at this, obviously Ben's plan is the lying in wait perfect ambush combo, where you then pop extra demolitions and throw a whole bunch of demo charges and grenades, and then in the shooting phase pop it again, and they're rusted claw bikers, so they can also spend it on drive-by for a +1 to hit and wound. It'd be really easy to then clear a huge chunk of those screens with frag grenades. So I'd probably let him perfect ambush, spend those 3 CP so he shoots in the movement phase, and then stop extra demolitions.
Yeah.
Because
I think too, like the junior player still has that unit of hand flamers that can shoot when they arrive.
Yeah.
Then clears out an extra further bubble, for something else to get in deep and then get that charge off that we were talking about before. So this cat and mouse game of throwing demo charges at one to try and do the same thing, and then having the retort of was it 10 hand flamers or 20 hand flamers?
Yeah.
10 hand flamers going into something small like that Acolyte unit, and then that clears up the space to land your Roxor unit to then get in.
Yeah. Well, those bikes are actually reasonably durable in this engagement because they are toughness 4, -1 to hit, and 2 wounds each. And the Termagant fire isn't that good. my biggest concern would be old One Eye.
I love old One Eye.
Oh, he's amazing, but if you look at the deployment where old One Eye is compared to those Adelan Jackals, I reckon that's charge range.
So these are the close-up pictures that McGowan went and took. So you get to see a little
cool.
bit of behind the terrain, and under some of these bits, because obviously top-down view, you end up getting some situations where there's bits that you unfortunately can't see from a top-down view.
Well, it's funny because that statue that's in the middle of
Thor's hammer.
Mjolnir,
Yeah.
I actually thought was a like a sentry gun or some sort of gun tower from the top-down view. So,
Yeah. Yeah, but all right. So we've got the Jackals down. You're right, though. It'd be interesting to see what they decide to do with the mini Vect.
I reckon that the biggest danger there is that old One Eye and looking at that Broodlord that's behind the building just below Objective 6 as well. Both of those two have an easy charge on those Jackals, and those Jackals are there. They can't get away even with drive-by demolitions. So, yeah, that unit was not going to screen for particularly long. It'll screen for as long as it needs to, which is obviously the next deployment for Stuart's own Genestealer cult.
Yep.
But it's that unit's not long for this world, and by stopping extra demolitions, you would kind of rob that unit of its true effect, but let him burn 3 CP thinking that he can.
Yeah, look, it's interesting because I mean they've both got a Vect, right?
Well, I suppose he could Vect his Vect, but that only works in Stuart's favour.
Well, yeah.
Well, it does, because I mean the best case scenario for Stuart is that it costs Ben 6 CP in Vect plus Perfect Ambush, and then on top of that, another one for extra demolitions.
That's why you bring 18, isn't it?
CP.
Sorry? Yeah, he started with 18, but I know he spent some watching the table.
Yeah.
If Ben then rolls a 1 for his Vect, that's even better. Like, there's forcing you to Vect when it's only once per game is only good for the first player, because it's just burning through more CP for the second.
Yeah, it's the classic magic tale of countering a counter to counter a counter.
Yeah, exactly.
So eventually your resources spent for essentially what the opponent only spent 2 CP for.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
Yeah, like the same thing with Eldar and Dark Eldar. Whenever you play against them now, it's like sometimes you just throw out a couple of stratagems, hoping that they do burn.
Yeah, those 4 CP for Vect. Yeah.
Can you hear me come through, guys?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, boy. All right. So
It looks like Ben is chucking grenades at this point, though, because that's an awful lot of dice in his hand.
Yes. And this is the good thing about it. Like, see how the guys are helping each other out, and then this only speeds. When you're looking at these two type of army dynamics, if you're not willing to do this for your opponent, like, you're going to get 2 turns in. But they're both there. Everything's lent over. It's all in view. No one's rolling anything behind buildings or anything like that. It's all in the open. They're helping each other pick up the dice. Like, the communication coming out of that table, it's very clear, very concise, and they're on it.
So I'm just trying to figure out, was that frag grenades or shotguns?
I think that might have been shotguns. How many in the unit?
So there's 10 there, so it'd be 20 shotgun rounds if you didn't burn the demolitions. If you decided not to throw the grenades and spend the points on the demos.
Yeah.
I'd also be interested to know if this is in the movement phase or in the shooting phase, and whether Ben decided to go down that road.
Yeah. Well, Diff's walking around. He might try and subtly ask it without giving away too much, because we don't want to
No, obviously.
spur a response. Yeah.
I will do in just a sec.
Yeah.
So you can also see in the bottom left of the screen, there's the Sentinel, but there's also a single model. I don't know.
Yeah,
to the
that
right
one
of
was
the
added to it. That's a GSC character.
Okay, so he's again probably there for the zoning out to make sure there's nothing dropping in the back lines there.
Yep.
Ben's a pretty meticulous player here in WA, so it doesn't surprise me that he's kind of covering his bases there. And he's done a really good job looking at those Jackals. They string all the way to the edge of the to the bottom edge of the board. they're covering 2/3 of the table by themselves.
Yeah. So now that pretty much opens up the blip in that building that he's put in, and stuff like that. So right where the Jackals is, we're doing that. He's now basically got 3/4 of the table, or 2/3 of the table in his favour.
Yeah.
They're going to charge them.
They are in that was the shooting phase. They're just going to assault phase.
So Ben's essentially elected not to pop the double throw, which makes sense in this environment. Like, there's no point in throwing all those demo charges at Termagants.
Yeah, and I've just got all the hopefully the score sheet looks like it should have updated on your ends now.
Yep.
Cool. So those CP appear to be updated. It's a relatively low scoring, obviously first turn, but with neither player scoring any milestone points by the looks of it.
Oh wow.
Although they've got Eternal War. What's the Eternal War mission? Is this one?
This is the Scorched Earth one, isn't it?
I reckon I'm just putting the wrong one. No?
The Eternal War, I think, is the one where they score at the end of every battle round for every objective they're on.
Yeah, that'd make sense.
Because the yellow was on 1 then, so that would make his 4, and then you had number 2 and number 5.
Yeah. Well, it just means that Ben plays a little bit of catch up for this game going first, because you can see him obviously trying to take that top objective, and he's going to hold 2 and hold 5, I think it is, at the bottom right-hand corner.
Yeah. But he's just going to get 3. Yeah, he's going to get 3 this turn.
Well, isn't this scored at the end of the battle round, not at the end of the player turn? Which obviously gives Stuart a chance to try and clear that top objective at the very least.
Not sure.
I'm 90% sure it is.
Sure. Mission 2. I'll just read it, so I'm not reading it out loud.
I'll read it. Progressive scoring, get 1 point.
No, it's at the end of the turn.
What games?
So each player scores 1
update.
DP.
I'll give you guys a bit of an update on what appears to be an update of the other games. So we've got Jake and Mr. Camilleri, Mr. Bob Camilleri. No. Jake looks like he's got his 3 drills balls deep into the towel lines. Yeah. Just, look, the Knights walking on up the table. Towel is being hammer and anvil is fairly deep into its own lines. Doesn't look like he's gone out too far just yet.
There's a couple of interesting games looking at that round. I mean, you've got the Inari mirror match, and then you've also got Cinnabec versus Platel in Astartes versus Heretic Astartes.
I'm literally standing between those tables. Which one do you want an update on?
Oh, look, we can talk about the jerks that are double Inari.
All right, I'll ask the jerks about the double Inari. How's this one going, lads? Sorry, Inari's doing well. Okay, so this is going to be a big win to. It might be Inari versus Inari, but yes, WA's Inari appears to be getting the job done. As for the Platel versus Sinbeck, I think there's a lot of bombs still off the table. 3 bombs off the table, so it's really hard to actually judge at this stage.
Yeah, well, it's still early days.
Yeah. So Pete's already lost 5 of his million cents.
Okay.
That's a technical.
I'm trying to remember whether we had 15 or 18 of them.
He had 14, I believe.
Oh, okay. I remember the list at one point had 18, which was hilarious.
Yeah.
On the streaming table, it looks like we've got combat with one of those Acolyte units up against the Termagants.
Yeah, that was the blue unit, but because he's strung so far back out, that's where he's taking his rear casualties.
Yeah. We're actually seeing the Termagants kill a couple as well, which is fun.
Yes.
And I'm assuming that Stuart's strung it out so that they've got synapse, so leadership won't be an
Of
issue.
course. Yep. Well, underneath that awning, where his hand just was then, near number 6, there's actually a brood lord underneath
Okay.
the awning. Yep.
I can see one of the brood lords on the camera. It's sort
Out
of
the back.
yeah.
Yeah, no, closer to his tape measure up the top of the screen there.
Oh, there's another
underneath
one.
that awning. That's
Oh, okay.
that's what you see really on that thing. So there's double brood lord there, and then you got old one eye sitting pretty.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can do a diff. Right. So that's a brood lord. That's a brood lord, and then you go. That's old one eye.
I like that he's painted old one eye in the right colours. That's nice.
A bit of throwback. I want to see if he's got the skull painted on him.
Oh, with half his head blown off.
Yeah. It's such a good kit for something that's been around for ages.
Yeah, I remember that kept being released. I even had the original old one eye. I don't know where. Time.
Very nice. Well, Diffie apparently has everything against older models being used in games these days. He's such an elitist.
It's a hard line to walk as a TO. You've got to try and not deny people their older models, but at the same time, you've also got to try and keep the integrity of the current game where you don't want people gaining advantages that are...
Most people that are in love with the
untoward.
model keep up with the rule specs of it. It's the guys
Yeah, exactly.
who go, these are my Terminators from, like, here, the Deathwing metal ones on, like, the 25mm base.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cute. They're like, here's my old Terminators, but I've put them on the proper base size. I've built some, cork underneath them because I just love the models that much.
Yep.
Like, there's
A lot
two
of
types of people.
Well, I see a lot of guys literally just glue the 25mm base onto the 40mm base and then build it up around it, and that actually works pretty well.
It's one of those things where most TOs will let you do whatever the hell you want with your models that you bought, and have nostalgia with, as long as you're doing the right thing. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
You always know the people that are trying to game the system, and they'll do it with old models, new models. It doesn't really matter.
Well, when
Just hunting for a judge.
when they released the Lord of Change model with the updated Kairos Fate Weaver conversion component of it, I saw people online like trying to buy the metal, like the demon print size version specifically to try and hide it.
Oh,
And
yeah.
no, you're doing that for the wrong reason, mate. It'd be like me rocking up with my Rogue Trader avatar because
Yeah, exactly right.
I've got that model, but there's no way I can make it on
Have
a
you still
60mm
kept it on
base.
the square base?
Oh no, the original one came on a 25mm round.
I did it.
The square base one was for Epic.
Ah, okay.
But I've got the old Rogue Trader avatar, and I could bring him along on a 25mm base, but I'd just be being a douchebag if I was. So, for friendly games, I might pull him out every now and again for a laugh, but I'd never try and do it at a tournament. It just sets the wrong tone.
Yeah. So we've just had Schumer Games saying that they bought 100 orcs literally months before they upped the base size. It's like, yep, I play orcs, I play guard, and all that sort of stuff. What I've found recently is actually MDF cut bases.
Oh yeah.
Diff's got an update. Hang on, we'll get back to that.
Oh, it was more. It looks like the Termi bombs about to drop or is dropping on the Pete versus Sinbeck game.
Ah, cool.
We've got Gilliman look like he is going ham fist solo onto Unit of Possessed. And we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 cents in banner and all that range just chilling there. But Termies have just dropped in the middle of the field. I think there's 20 of them.
Oh, Jesus.
Bit to get through. It's yeah. Yep. I'm not sure how that one's actually going to end up.
I've seen that. I remember at Masters that Gilliman went through like 17 mega knobs or something and still kept going when he played Liam.
Just Gilly things.
Gilliman smacked those mega knobs. So it looks like Lockie is going to get up against Clegg. So that's the WA Custodes.
Yep. Clegg doesn't really have the tools to deal with those Orions.
No. Obviously, the WA Unari is going to get up over the VIC Unari. We've already discussed that one. the
3 Ravages and the Incarn left, but it is only turn 2.
so
Turn 2.
so you killed an entire Yanari army pretty much in 2 turns. That's harsh. I actually think that's rude. I actually think you're a bad sportsman.
No, it's Tom. Tom's just a big teddy bear.
I've already talked to the TOs.
Tom's my bulldog from 2012, 2014, I think. He played 2016 as well. No, he didn't. 2012, 2014 for Team Australia. It was just like, get him.
And you wonder why he's on the WA team.
He bakes mad brownies. Yeah, so going back to the bases, I've been finding a lot of it using the MDF laser cut stuff, like back to basics and whatnot, going through them because they're so cheap. You know, because I don't mind throwing my own sort of sand and flock on things and whatnot. It's, you know, it's a really good way to sort of pump out large amounts of bases and not have to, you know, bust the bank to do it.
Yeah. I mean, I've got to look at redoing my Grey Knight army, which is still on 25s, because they're all the metal ones from 2004.
Yep.
And my Emperor's Children as well, which I'll probably end up putting spaces on, either 3D printed ones or the mold plastic ones, and just painting the spaces in black, because they're all on sculpted resin bases. And I'll be damned if I'm pulling them off those and redoing them. So I'll just put them on the right bases. If I ever take them to a tournament, they're a 4th edition army, so they're not exactly the best army in the game today. So
Streamer Games just said it's not only the size, but it's also it is the size of the base, for the fact that it the trays that they put them in, it does alter them. So if you've made small slot bases compared to the larger ones and stuff, that definitely sucks, Streamer. That was something I didn't actually think about. I can't remember the last time I actually had to back up an army in foam tray to take it anywhere.
I've just been asked a question on whether or not the models what base sizes they have to be on.
What, for a game that's happening now?
Legit. Yeah, for a game that's currently being played. A legit question was, can models that... Pretty much exactly what we were just talking about. Not that army, obviously, but obviously, you know, if you've got Orc Boys on 25s that are now on 32s, do you have to rebase them? Are you, like, was that in the rules? And now I've got to go hard.
I don't believe it was in the Players Pack, no.
Because I know what GW said about it.
Yeah, GW said no.
I think there's often a ruling that they've got to be the same. So you can't have one Orc Boy unit on old and new, as long as they're on the same. But they'll probably have to get the TOs to actually make a decision on it.
Look, I think I would hope that in the spirit of the event that you're not going to see a player unfairly penalised and have to take off handfuls of Orc Boys because they're on the wrong size base in round 2 of the event.
It is Orcs, though. Have you seen what looters do? Not joking. Yes, 100%. Yes, it's one of those things where I'm like, yeah, come on, guys have travelled, spent hundreds and, you know, if not $1,000 to get here. Yes.
I definitely think it's a contentious spot, and I'm hoping that Games Workshop at some point does what they did with the Age of Sigmar rules and actually comes out with some sort of standard base size chart. And it wouldn't be too hard to do. I mean, the ETC have got one. I've spent a lot of time trying to get one done up for our events based off the ETC's version with a couple of modifications to it. It wouldn't be too hard for them to publish something that would basically go, cool, if you are, you know, they could even do it in brackets. If you're toughness 3 with this save or less, put them on this. If they're toughness 4 with this save, put them on that. And, you know, without having to name every single unit in the game.
Yeah, do it off of wounds or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just look at that sort of stuff and go, I just wish GW would just take a hard line for once. Like, for me, I don't know what everyone else feels like, but I look at it and go, index units after Codex has been published. It's just like, yeah, I got old models as well.
Oh, likewise, man.
But I I'm like, I'll use my old models, but I'll make it the new one. That's a lot less confusing than going, yeah, my Autark model is the old index one, even though there's a perfectly good Autark model in the new, codex. But I specifically want one piece of war gear from it. I just look and go, if you like the Autark, run the Autark.
Yeah. Oh, look, I've got probably a dozen Autarks that are essentially only able to be used by the index, because I was one of those crazies in 4th edition that bought every single one and then bought every single variant. And you know what? As a TO and as a player, I actually look forward to those indexes going away. We've actually started banning them from events in WA now, mainly for fairness reasons, because you can't actually buy most of those indexes anymore, even digitally.
Yeah, that's my opinion too. I think if you can't buy the book, like if you can't legally buy the book, then surely it's not allowed.
Yeah, and that's my biggest argument. The only one you can still buy digitally is Imperium 2, which has the Sisters of Silence and Inquisition in it, which are current models. And I'm assuming that's the only reason you can still buy that book digitally. All of the other books are now out of print. You can't buy them in store. You can't buy them on iTunes. You can't buy them anywhere. So by allowing those books to continue in tournaments, you give some players an unfair advantage, because all it takes is an Eldar player to rock up with an Autark with a Banshee mask, Reaper launcher, laser lance on a jet bike, and then the opponent playing Eldar as well goes, well, how did you get those options? Oh, I've got this book. Well, how did you get that book? I bought it a year ago or 2 years ago. Oh, well, I can't buy it anymore. How is that fair for the opponent? And that's my biggest concern with that. But this is a soapbox I have that not everyone agrees with, so I'll shut up.
Yeah. I just look at it and go, once the rules designers went through it, the rules designers designing indexes to plateau the game. They weren't in the same mind frame as what they are when they release a codex.
Yeah.
And they're going, this is where we're going with it. This is where we think, this army should sit. And I just look at it and go, yeah, cool. It was great. It was a Band-Aid. We all knew it was a Band-Aid. They're like, here's all the indexes in the same month or, very close to it. And you go for broke and wait until the actual, codexes start getting released out. It's the same thing as I'm not going to cry a river when my Inquisition, finally gets canned because they just don't support it anymore. It's one of those ones where if I'm gaming against mates, I have rules for it. If I'm coming to an event where people are paying money for, then I've just got to accept that army, A, is not going to do well because it never does, but it's just like, that's okay. I can use the models as something else. They're my guardsmen now. Like, there's nothing stopping me from enjoying my hobby or enjoying an army, because you get TO approval for, can I use these Arbites as just guardsmen?
Yeah.
It's like,
or veterans or whatever.
That wouldn't even raise an eyebrow, but it's just like, no, I want to use them as Arbites from Index, 2012, whatever it is. And we're now in 2020. You're just like, well, no.
Yeah.
Because it makes no sense. How many FAQs have been put out? They're not referencing index stuff to be FAQ. They're referencing codexes and stuff like that. So it's one of those things where you're time capsuled in a way of playing or a rules design set that just isn't formidable. Like you said, you got to make sure it's formatted to the current events, and it's just not what it is.
No, look, I mean, my Corsair army went from, I took the Corsairs to LVO in 2017, and then 6 months later they were, for all intents and purposes, destroyed. All of the characters now, when I run them, if I'm playing with mates at home and I want to run my Void Dreamer and my Prince and all the rest of it, I'll use the Autark and the Farseer profiles, but they'll get coterie keywords and stuff because we're playing at home. We're having fun. If I go to a tournament, then if I want to use them, a lot of the time the Corsair units become, Swooping Hawks or just regular Wind Riders with scatter lasers or whatever, and I fill them as Craftworld.
Yep.
And that's the way it is because that's the way the game plays.
Have you looked at this conga line through the building with these gaunts?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's very Eric-esque.
Well, I'm looking at least 2 Broodlords at the top there, ready to charge those Gene Stealer units. And then you've got Old One Eye there in the middle.
2 Termagant units. He's just charged 2 Termagants in, and they're all conga lining back. I feel as though those rubber bands, instead of being rubber bands, should be like Hawaiian lays, and this charge move, like, they must have a soundtrack. Yeah,
And he's left a nice little gap there for those two Broodlords to go in. If he wants them to, of course.
Looks like he's declared a charge against the Jackals with one of the Broodlords.
Oh, yeah, there's a gap there. Oh, between the Broodlord and that and the old One-Eye, they will murder that unit. And the Overwatch from those shotguns and whatnot isn't going to be anything relevant to a Patriarch or a
He didn't do any damage. Yeah, and he obviously got in.
which is bad news for those Jackals.
The Broodlord now kills 3, and old One-Eye can't attack.
Yeah, they're just doing double checking they're not moving a little too far, but we're good.
It's always when you get these complex charges, because you're obviously going between 2 units there, plus trying to get under the terrain, plus making sure that you're in within 1, and yeah.
Well, this is a common thing that I see come up in assaults. Like, assaults are one of the most detailed, fun things to do in this game. A lot of people just breeze over it, and they're like, oh, I'm just going to go in there and smash with my full number of attacks. And, you know, it's like, if you actually slow it down and play it by the rules, assault is a very intricate thing that you can get a lot of mileage out of.
Absolutely.
Yep. Also, I mean, people often forget the fact every single model in the game comes with a close combat weapon. So if you go in there and you go, you know what? I don't want to kill that many models.
Yeah.
The biggest thing I love seeing is something like Mortarian with his, or Scarbrand going in with his massive like demonic axes. It's like, you know, I'm going to use this pocket knife. For those interested at home, Matt Morrisoli, who is murking for Team ACT as the Drakari list. He's currently paired up against Chaos Demon list, looking very similar to something he normally plays. So you've got one of the arguably best Demon Chaos players in Australia playing Drakari against the Chaos Demon list.
Go over and mic up, and all you'll hear is, I didn't know they could do that. I've been playing it for 18 months. I didn't know they could do that.
From either or both?
You see a giant fist come from the left of the thing and knock me off my chair. All right, so we'll probably seeing the Broodlord in the center there to see how deep you can actually get into that unit.
I think there were 3 or 4 casualties out of the 5 attacks it would have delivered. So
yeah.
And there's enough Termagants there just through dice. I mean, they're only the Genestealer Cult are only guardsmen in defense, and then there's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 20. There's probably 20 Termagants there that I reckon could fight with a pile-in. So the chances are there's.
I think that unit had rock saws in it though, so I think that's what he's trying to look at. How many he can.
He's just interrupted.
Move.
He has interrupted, has he?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's got rock saws.
1, 2.
So there's
at least 4 rock saws I can see there.
Yeah, so this is the important one where you can only move if you get to the closest model. So you can't. Everyone just can't pack up and go against the Broodlord there.
Well,
No.
yes and no. Yes and no. So with your pile-in moves, you have to end closer to the closest model than when you started. But that can still bring you within an inch. So basically what you'll be able to see here is all 4 rock saws have piled in and are
And
able
all 4
to
can fight
hit.
that Broodlord.
All can hit the Broodlord.
Yeah.
And that's what he's done.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, it's one of the most intricate things of going. If he stuffed that sequencing and didn't attack with that Broodlord first, he would have lost the Broodlord just for charging it in.
Yeah.
Like, let's say he murders the Jackals now, and he left that Broodlord like that. It's like that Rocksaw unit would have got that Broodlord for free. You know, even though it was the Genestealer player, or he did get it. But even though the Genestealer charged, you know, it's not guaranteed.
That was just unlucky with Phil No Pains from the watching those rolls.
It is, but you know, that's what happens when we play a game of dice.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
the trick is though that Broodlord wasn't essential to what was going on there because they've strung them out in such a way that they've got leadership anyway.
Yeah.
And there's still the other Broodlords stood nearby, and it's hard to tell. there's no leadership buff for those acolytes either, from what I can see.
No, I don't think anything's underneath the awning on his side.
And he lost, I think, 4 to the first round of combat. Those Termagants will account for.
I think the way he was doing it is basically gets him on an objective and then buffers him out, because it's not so much now, because he made a semi-hefty charge with it.
Yeah.
It puts him on the objective ready for next turn. When if you look at the blue and the brown gaunt units, they could have really encapsulated the Broodlord, but it puts that Broodlord in a very good position to basically get back into. Let's just see if I can actually show you on the screen what I'm talking about. You know, if the Broodlord was ending here, and then by the time next turn comes up and he's, you know, starts with a movement getting to here and start threatening the back troops just with that one Broodlord.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that was the gamble he was trying to take. I think it just didn't, like you said, the Feel No Pains were a bit unlucky.
Well, at that point, that Broodlord, had it made it that far, the only way of really stopping it reliably would have been the Patriarch from Ben, which moves the Patriarch's aura in such a way that it leaves the bottom hand of the screen really exposed leadership-wise.
So I've got a quote for you guys that I think is my quote of the day. We have a tower player for Queensland against the New Zealand Knight player, and he pulls me over and says, "I've been playing since 4th edition, and I've never been fucked so hard in my life." He just lost, what was the VP count in the end? 17 victory points to 76.
Holy what?
As in Rory with his tail got up.
No, Rory got hit so hard. Knight's poleaxed him.
That must have been like domination and supremacy and all of those. Like there must have been a whole bunch of D3s and D6s there that just went bonkers.
That's what happens when Tau hides up the back for 5 turns.
Yeah, I suppose.
Okay. I can't rag on him too much. He's a Queenslander.
I would. I'd rag the hell out of him. Well, yeah, but I don't have to play nice. I can do what I want. No, I can't. We're literally round 1. We're talking about, you know, ambassadors and all this, trying to do the right thing and encourage the community to.
That's in another country. This is Australia.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Mike, you remember the conversations from last year, and I think they continued on this year of trying to get Malaysia to join us?
Yeah, Malaysia, Singapore, and some of that sort of Southeast Asian section.
Yep.
There's definitely tournaments that happen. Like I was talking to some of the ITC guys, that there's teams that play in China, and I don't know about Japan. I haven't really seen too much. I know there is obviously a scene in Japan, but whether there's a proper competitive scene in Japan, I'm not sure. But it'd be great to expand it into sort of an Oceania Team Championships to sort of expand and let us have some of those teams. You know,
yeah.
And look at having 12, 14 teams from around the region.
Here's a question for you. So let's say hypothetically we convinced, I don't know, 2 teams to come over from, you know, Southeast Asia, Singapore, wherever.
Malaysia.
Wherever. Yeah. Like, well, in our rough region. And so now we're hitting, what's that, 80, no, hold on, 48, 64 players.
We've got 64. We've got 64 at this event now because there's 8 teams of 8.
Yep, we did bad maths earlier. Yeah, so 60. Yes, so that puts you at. Come on, work with me here, brain.
Oh, look, somewhere between 80 and 96 players.
96 players. There we go. Thank you.
If we had 10 teams, if we added 2 to this, we'd have 80 players, and if we were really fortunate, we'd have 96 with 2 more. Because obviously you have to come up in 2s.
So assuming we managed to get something like that, so we clearly have to go to minimum 6 rounds, right? Yeah,
you'd have to.
What impact do you feel it would have on the current ATC teams to make it a 3-day event? I mean, WA wouldn't change anything realistically.
No, we realistically wouldn't care.
It wouldn't affect New Zealand because they probably are already used to it, as taking extra days.
I give the same spiel to everyone else. If you're coming to this type of event that's once a year, you're selected from your state. It's like you accept it. It's like saying I want to be in the Olympics. I don't want to travel overseas for it.
Yeah.
It's like if you want to represent your state.
Yeah, but that's my question though. That's my question is would it have an impact in the number of players we get? Like would Queensland suddenly go, as an example, or Vic or whoever else, suddenly go, you know what, a number of our top players just go, you know what, I wouldn't take the time off work. I don't know.
Top players might pull out, but you go, there's plenty of people that will stick their hand up to come anyway.
Yes and no.
Would it affect the...
Would you get a
sort of
team? Yes,
caliber
you
of the
would.
teams?
Would it affect the caliber? Yes, it would.
Yes, it would. Yeah.
But then throw in the fact, all right, South Australia had 7 players and a Merc. ACT, I think, has 1 player from ACT, and everyone else is effectively Mercs. And we have a Merc team. So would making it a 3-day event rule out two teams? Like the gaining of those additional teams, would we then lose some local ones?
I'd hope that there's a level of commitment from the... So use South Australia as the example. There's 7 of them on the team, and I reckon that over the next 12 months, getting an 8th to have a team of 8 wouldn't be unreasonable. And I think as long as you don't spring it on them a couple of months out, like if we're really clear and transparent and say, we're going to go to 3 days, here's the plan, here's everything else, give them that 9 to 12 months notice.
Yep.
And that gives the reps an opportunity to work with the community they have to put a team together. It's trying to spring it on them a few months out just is the problem. So I think that as a committee, we'd have to be...
The additional factor
organised.
is terrain, right?
Yes.
How many states and venue? I mean, for example, this venue is really good, relatively well spaced, but you wouldn't want any more tables in here. Like it's packed enough. So venues like this, I mean, you pretty much have to then start going to halls and like convention center type size.
Look, speaking specifically for WA, we could host, like WATC last year was 120 players.
Yep.
That was cozy because we had to butt tables and all sorts of stuff. Realistically, without butting tables, we can fit... we could go 80 players in that room comfortably. We could probably even go 96 in that room cozy, but not insurmountably so.
Yep.
And terrain-wise, yes, we could cope with that. I mean, I've got 42 tables at my house as it stands right now.
Yep.
Between me and the clubs, yeah, we could definitely do that. Cost at that point is genuinely a factor, though, because the hall in question that would host that in WA is like $2,000 a day.
Yep. So tiramisu? Is that tiramisu?
Yep, it looks like tiramisu.
We'll go with that. Has suggested that potentially if we're doing it, including some Southeast Asian countries, then that may have an impact from a price perspective of, would they attend, because we're obviously relatively expensive in comparison over here. But he's also raised a good point that if we increase the prestige of the venue, we increase the number of people playing in it, we would increase the number of people interested in it as well, I believe.
Yeah.
Like it is not infeasible to think that the ATC one day could be the largest 40k event in Australia.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, because I put you this: if we run the ATC like we have now, a month or two before the ETC, and we get that caliber of teams, we're going to see teams from overseas make the trip.
Absolutely.
And then you have the question around the Merc rules. Do you, like, how pissed would people be if the Australian team, like we use the current Australian team as an example, and we said, okay, well, let's say VIC, who has 3 Australian players, gets 1 more VIC to play in it, and all the other 4 are Mercs from the other states that make this. Basically, we have the Australian team minus 1 player. We have a super team. instead of VIC or instead of WA or instead of Queensland or whoever it might be. How pissed would people be?
Yeah, I think we'd have to.
We'd have to really lock that stuff down.
Yeah, there'd have to be some much more solid guidelines around how the teams are made.
Yeah.
There's a post there from Schumer Games. The idea of flying with an army terrifies me. Can you expand on why that would be? Because, I mean, I flew to Poland with Diff in 2012 for the ETC. I've done LVO. I've done 3 different ATCs. I've been here, there, and everywhere with armies, and I've never had a problem.
Yeah, I fly a lot with armies. What it comes down to is you invest in a case.
You do it properly.
If you are clever, and you are looking at getting sponsorship, talk to some of the Australian-based companies. Knights of Dice have some great laser cut foam and heavy-duty cases. But yeah, you want to do it with carry-on.
Yeah, I was just saying he's just posted saying baggage loss or having someone roughly treat it when it's being moved between planes could cause a lot of issues.
I
know that
have
some of
put
the
an army
Perth
under
boys
the plane
have
before.
checked.
I have. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't regularly do it though.
No, I mean the case I took with me to Poland, that was a battle foam case which I had custom foam made for that Dark Elder army. And when I sorted the bag, I even made sure that it had space for a iPad and so on, so that it was my carry-on. And it incorporated the stuff that I'd normally have in a carry-on bag, so headphones, charger.
I don't think South Australian ATC, I've checked parts of my army. So the ATC we had in South Australia was the year of the Fortress of Redemptions. And I managed to source 2 for our team, and so my army was carry-on, but my luggage, I had 2 Fortress Redemptions neatly packed inside.
Yep. WA had to play do that.
Yeah, but I wouldn't do that for my other armies.
So Schumer Games is saying orcs with vehicles don't condense very small. I travelled with, was it 13 skimmers in 2012, Diff, for my Dracari?
Mate.
There was a boatload of them.
There was a few, literally boatloads.
Yeah, and they're all.
job, Dad.
And I actually had them left on their flying stands in that case. And
That's just late.
oh yeah, man! The whole point of that army was I could pull it out and play it straight out of the bag, And I think that you have to get creative.
That's the green ones, aren't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
You just have to be creative with how you play them and how you pack them. I mean, I took my Corsair army that I took to LVO in 2017 was 14 jet bikes, 2 warp hunters, a Nightwing, a Lynx, 2 not warwalkers, wasps, and then a bunch of winged Forge World resin Guardian models. And that all went in just the standard GW, the big GW case that you can buy now with the crinkle foam. I went and got custom foam made for it, the army, but the whole thing went in that entire case. And you just have to be creative with how you pack the army and how you get, sort of condense it down as best you can with, custom cut foam is normally the answer.
Yeah, so I'd use custom cut foam to handle that most of the time. This is the bag I've got. I've got the campaign case from Knights of Dice. And most of my armies are laser cut, but you can get pluck foam as well.
Yeah,
they also have a strike case. So keeping in mind that with so a strike case is a little smaller, as you can kind of see here, you could quite comfortably take both of those as carry-on. So with carry-on, you're allowed 2 pieces of varying sizes. Blah 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 blah. You should be able to fit most armies in those 2.
Yeah, and look, the current GW case, the big one, I forget what they call it. I went down to Spotlight and Clark Rubber and bought foam, and then used a hot wire cutter and cut the foam myself. It cost me about $50 or $60 in foam.
Yep.
But then I've got a nice hard case that I already had, and it took a bit of work and a bit of effort and a lot of swearing, but
well, yeah.
You guys watching what's happening on screen here in the top?
Yeah,
left?
there's a nice big drop of hand flamers happening.
Yeah, right in the middle of 2 units.
So he's obviously burned a couple of CP there for laying in wait, looking at how it's deployed.
Yep.
Yeah. So for
I have
those,
to ask, has Stuart not vectored? Surely that's where you'd pop it.
I can't ask because I don't want to give
No.
him ideas.
yeah. So we're talking about that hand flamer unit up the top left-hand corner of the table. That's just dropped between 2 units of termagants. So for that lying in wait strat, is that within? You can do it as long as you're outside 3 inches. Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel as though that's a misplay.
Yeah,
Because
well,
it's only
basically,
just.
they were just measuring all that, and every single model is 3 inches away from every other model.
Yeah. So
That's why
literally.
it's one big conga line.
Yeah, that conga line, the blue
Could have been
conga
5
line,
inches wide. Yeah.
there should have just been a little bit over. Yep. That's unfortunate.
Is that all of Ben's GSC deployed now? Was that the only other unit still off the table? I believe it was.
I think so. I believe that's all his units down now.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything on the side. Like, all his foam trays are empty.
It's also,
The only
yeah,
thing
I
he's
agree
got
with.
is-
You go.
I was saying the only thing he's got to the left was the unit that was just assaulted off by the Gaunts and the Broodlord up the top.
Yeah.
So Tiramisu raises a fair point. I mean, if you're willing to fly overseas to play Ks, then surely you're willing to pay a little bit more to protect your army.
Yep. Oh, the case I took to Poland was $250, custom made by Battle Foam.
Yep.
But that case was made in very start of 2012, and that army's been carted here, there, and everywhere. It came to Queensland in 2014.
Yep.
Yeah, it's been everywhere, and I've not had a single model in that case ever break.
So
And like I say, I've got Venoms on flying stands in that case, and Raiders on flying stands in that case.
I would put to you that, for starters, the Knights of Dice Foam, which I put up before, they will cut it to pretty much any size case. So if you get one of those solid Pelican cases, or whatever they're called.
Oh,
The
I actually need foam cut for my Warlord, and I want to get a Pelican case for that.
Yeah, mate, get foam from these guys. They'll cut it for you. I would put a bet. I would put a bet and say, all right, I'm going to put this army in this case. Throw the case.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, if
I've
you
seen a lot of people, including myself, who use the hard case actual luggage.
Yep.
That's what I was trying to say before. The only way I've travelled with an army, because the armies that I use are quite large normally, is I check it in underneath the plane, and it's in foam, wrapped in towels, inside my luggage.
In a hard case, yeah.
Yeah, it's in a hard case, luggage case. Because it just doesn't move, and they can throw it around. It's in foam, inside towels, inside a hard case.
Yeah.
And I just I'm like, there's my clothes in my backpack. That is carry on.
She get a waterproof case. Get a waterproof case. Put it inside a big tub of water.
But if you're serious about doing any of these, if you're going to do any of these trips to play somewhere else in the world, whether it's just out of state or out of country, you kind of have to plan that out a little bit so that, okay, cool, I know I'm going to play. Like when I went to LVO, we got there 2 days in advance, and I made sure that in my luggage I had a little repair kit, super glue, clippers, file, pins, all that sort of stuff. In a hard, like a sealed up Tupperware container, so super glue didn't have to the clothes. So that if you do get there and something's broken, if the army's all prepped and ready and you've packed it well, it shouldn't be. But if you get there and it is, you've actually got the tools to fix it. And give yourself enough time. Like if you're flying in the morning of the event, then obviously you're putting yourself more at risk. If you can fly in the night before, you mitigate some of that.
I agree.
So it just requires a bit of common sense and a bit of planning. Like you can't be stingy if you're going to go and do these trips. You have to do it right.
100% agree. Also keeping in mind with a lot of especially with the team events. Okay, so not every, because there was a point raised a little earlier, orcs with vehicles don't condense very small, very well. Look, I do see your point, but keeping in mind when we're talking about team events, not everyone in your team is going to have a high model count army. I've had armies. So I've had back when demon summoning was like proper demon summoning. Basically, when we traveled to Serbia and when we traveled to Greece, they both had proper summoning, and so pretty much each one of the players from VIC had a tray or two of additional models.
Yeah, 2016 ATC in Sydney, I had a whole bunch of demons in my army case for Tom to summon with.
That was such a good year. Basically, all the couple of years, everyone pretty much. Hey guys, have you got spare room? I got half a tray. Cool. Here's some bloodletters. You got some spare room? Yeah, I got probably 2 trays worth because my army's very elite. Okay, here's some plague drones.
I had 80 bloodletters, 20 plague bearers, and 20 horrors. Oh, and 16 flesh hounds.
Mate.
That I brought alongside my Necron army that year.
How we looking, McGowan?
Okay, so he's just hit with the flame units. That's what hit the red to take it out. The little Desperado 2-pistol guy.
Come off.
Yep, so he's just chipped the Brood Lord down to 2. So hitting on 2s with extra shots and all that sort of jazz.
Yep.
That's the Central Brood Lord there, where he's basically rolling dice now. Closest to Objective 1. He's firing mortars now, but this is a pretty pivotal turn game. Like, this turn is going to hurt a lot.
It just depends on how Stuart's counterpunch with his own SC goes, I guess, and whether Old One Eye and the Brood Lord survive.
Yeah.
There's also the Patriarch sitting at the back there of Stuart's army that's kind of just lurking, waiting.
Yep.
Yep.
Is that unit... So for me, it's the bottom left of the screen near Objective 3, I think it is. There's a building with a bunch of models on top of it.
Purple models?
Bottom left
those
corner
ones.
near Objective 3.
Yeah.
Yep.
What are they?
Have you got a better look than me, Josh? I think we got some pictures from Discord earlier. No, they weren't there.
Steeler ones.
I'm just wondering whose those are. They look to be... I'm assuming they're Stuart's.
No, I think they'll be the Western Australia.
Oh, okay. So are they Brood Brothers or are they Acolytes?
Acolytes are the ones with...
Basically, have they got 3 arms or 2?
Yeah, they're
Or
Acolytes.
are they on 32 mil bases as opposed to 25s?
There's a difference of a couple mil in it. They're on 32s.
Yeah, they're Acolytes.
Yep. Yeah, they're halfway change between a human and a gene still, so that's the Acolytes, yeah? Yeah.
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that's the Western Australia player.
Okay.
Because Stuart's got all his stuff wrapped in rubber bands. They're still on his tray.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's going to be... This is definitely, as Josh was saying, it's going to be a pivotal turn. Am I right in thinking Ben went first?
I think he did, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Ben did go first because he scored 2 points in his first round for his 2 objectives he was on, and that was it.
Yep.
So, but I don't think I think First Strike would have been updated since then, but no one, I don't think, got first strike on the first turn.
No, it was a pretty quiet turn.
From both sides, because I distinctly remember them only upgrading 4 points for primary from
it was 4 to 2, yeah.
Yeah, and Stuart was on 4 objectives, so that means that First Strike probably happened turn 2.
I've just refreshed the results on Down Under Pairings. Tom did beat John Yanari Vianari. The score was 63 to 6.
Yes, that's a big win.
That's huge.
See, Schumer Games, 1 a.m. in America. We appreciate the commitment. So keeping in mind for those who do have different time zones and have to drop off, all these games will also be published to our YouTube page, so you can check them out there. Also, we'll also highlight them so you can watch them on Twitch for a little bit longer for some of those users as well.
So another really cagey, interesting game is the one here between Matt and Michael. So we've got the Tau versus the
Death Watch
Death Watch.
and Knight.
Yeah.
Yeah. So because of that, you can't really see it on the screen, but obviously, there's a level 1 building that basically the Death Watch is just towering in. So he's utilising the fact that you can't see through level 1 terrain, blocking one side. So pretty much they've been set up diagonally across each other for about 4 turns now, like trading minuscule shots. Like the firepower of 4 Riptides essentially in that list, because it's like 3 Riptides and something.
Three and 3 broadsides as well.
Yeah, it's just basically it's just whatever's indirect is going into the Death Watch, and Death Watch are just holding to try and play out as best they can.
Hold it.
Because likewise, he doesn't want to get too close. The Death Watch is pipping things off. All those, all the Riptides are wounded, So it's very much who can outlast the other.
All right. Sulfian. Sulfian? Is that how you pronounce it, you reckon? I'm going with that. How do you know the lovely Biggs? Do you know him from ETC last year? Is that where you know him from? Yes? All right. Or maybe that's a yes to how you pronounce it.
Yeah, maybe.
We'll find out in a second. There's a little bit of a lag.
Oh,
CanCon. Oh, CanCon.
Yeah, that doesn't. Yeah, no.
That doesn't help. What did you play at CanCon?
ABC, Vic boy.
Oh, so you're a Vic boy. Okay.
Oh.
What did you run?
That's Canberra.
Come on, who'd you play at CanCon?
I didn't play him. It's Toddy. Must be Toddy.
I got no idea. All right. Well. Bonjour, Sulfian.
Toddy. Ryan Toddy.
Ryan Todd. Okay. Nice to meet you, Toddy. Thanks for joining us. And yes, it is the lovely Biggs.
Well, it's not wrong. Fun fact, I played him twice at that tournament.
Really?
I played Jared twice. He got paired against me twice.
That was in the team event.
The team event.
That was a very weird format. So for those wondering how you can play someone twice at a tournament, probably because they ran out of combinations, would be my guess.
No, so the way it worked is, I don't know if they can hear me.
I'll repeat.
They paired the highest placed person with the lowest placed person together.
Yep.
And it was just unfortunate that Jared was the lowest placed person twice.
Okay. All right. So they didn't. Yeah.
And we
so
grudged each other first.
It was a team event. So the way it worked was, a doubles event, but it was a doubles event with a massive twist. You didn't sign up as a double. You rock up to the event with a list. Round 1, you are randomly paired with a teammate, and you are playing against a random pair. And then you get a certain number of battle points. Round 2, the highest battle point player, which then gets paired with the lowest battle point player.
Yes.
And they are now a team, and yada yada yada. You can fill in the blanks.
Jared and I grudged each other first round, and then we got paired in the last round.
Okay. Interesting.
He was not happy.
So is that a singles winner? How do you win that event?
Mate, it's a singles winner. There's a whole bunch of weird things. It was a fun tournament. I have no idea how... Look, I can probably tell you how the end results were because they're in Down Under Pairings.
Oh, it was just a format that I was trying to figure out how to run here.
Mate,
so it's interesting to hear someone's done it.
It was run here, and I think we're still... here, in Vic. And I'm still trying to work out how we ran it. So that... Yeah, the event results were singles, basically, when they were finally put in.
Right.
24 players. Well, because it couldn't... Yeah, it's no other way of doing it because you had...
No set team.
There's no set team, so it's, yeah.
No, exactly. Yeah.
It was an interesting format, though. All right. So I think we're in the bottom of turn 3. They just haven't updated it, but...
Yeah, so that flaming unit, as you can see down, pretty much made the other unit disappear.
Yep.
If you convoluted charges,
Ben's burnt through his CP this turn.
Yeah, he has. Yeah. So
Yep.
a lot of the borrowing and all that sort of stuff, getting in close and whatnot.
I think he had 13 at the start of this turn.
Yep.
It'd be interesting to see what Stu has left in, deep strikes.
I think there's still the 30 acolytes.
Yeah, he's got that. So he's looking at 30 acolytes.
30 or 40? I think it's 2 15s and a 10.
Oh, okay. That changes things a little bit then, because those 15s on the charge will kill those blobs of 20 guys, and the 10 hand flamers is actually enough to clear Ben's 20 hand flamers, in theory.
I'm just bringing up the list. So Stu's list, it's just kill points. No, just kill points. Mission says kill points. Read the mission. Mission says kill points? Do you know how kill points work? You get a point for everything you kill. I'm just going to go on mute for a second.
Alright, so we're looking at what's reserved. We're still looking at 215 acolyte units with rubber bands still on the tray, along with your little disc jockey that you were talking about earlier, Michael.
The Clamovus.
Yep. So that's still sitting on the tray because I don't think Stu's had his third turn yet.
Yeah, so there's still a counterpunch to come. If Old One Eye survives, which he hasn't,
No.
I've just caught up with the video
I know
going,
you're on a lag. Yep.
no, okay, he's dead.
As soon as you start talking, I'm like, I don't want to interrupt you, but yeah.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
Although there is still the Patriarch there. Stuart has to have a good turn 3 to be able to pull this back.
Yes.
Because
like we said, this is very much a strike first.
Yeah.
The bubbles were done. I'm not sure losing that Broodlord the turn earlier was worth it.
No.
And extending the way he extended. Like I said, if he just turned around and went, right, I know I'm going to cop this, because now he's got that big old hand flamer unit in his back lines that he now has to divert resources to. Whereas if he didn't go for the charge and overextend himself and casualties and all that sort of jazz, he could have blanketed out his backboard a bit more, which would enable him to sort of wear that a bit better. Which then enables him with his counterpunch to get in there better as well.
I'm going to be interested to talk to Stuart after this, because that hand flamer unit ultimately is probably, despite the damage it's done being essentially minimal, that unit is going to be a real pain.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's so much resources that now have to be.
Yeah, and I'm just wondering how. Like, I've got to assume that Vect was played earlier, so he couldn't stop that. And then between him not being able to stop it and accidentally leaving enough space for them,
it could have been a Vect-off.
Yeah,
that's
it could
why
have been.
the CP drain is so drastic between one turn, like turn 2, that's starting at 13. Now, what's he down to?
3. He's burnt 10 CP this turn.
Yeah.
So for those playing at home, and Mike, you may have a better play on this, or just another thought on it. So I'm looking through the ETC mission pack, which we're using.
Yeah.
And at no point, I'm looking at this, do I see anything about kill point differentials? It just says kill points.
No, I was going to say, I think they've taken the differentials out. I couldn't find it either.
They have. But the player pack says kill point differential capped at 6.
Oh, there you go.
So, we've released a mission pack, or we've said we're using a mission pack, and I don't remember clarifying anywhere that we're doing kill points different. So, might have to just clarify that.
With the player's pack says differential, then yeah, I guess it's differential.
Yes, that's how I would rule it as well. But I think there's just going to be there's a bit of confusion, and we're going to have to just inform players.
Well, it also might mean looking at the scores for each round, because if players have been putting in raw kill points, that would explain some of the scores, like 60-something and 70-something points.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. I will I didn't write either of them. I'm going
likewise.
to plead the fifth and say not my problem. No. I think realistically, I'll ask the captains what they want to do. What do you think we should do, Mr. WA rep?
I'd want to know what the teams have done in round 1.
Well, the thing is, Down Under Pairings is has been set up based on the mission pack.
So
people have been putting it. Well,
they'll
some
be
people
putting in
may.
raw kill.
Some
And that's what
people
I'm-
have.
Yeah, and that's what I'd be saying is if the majority have put raw kill points in,
You have to do that for the rest, right?
then you have to do it for the rest, yeah.
But on the flip side, maybe some people have prepped based on differential. Basically, there's a stuff up, and you just got to decide which way do you go that has the least amount of damage to the event.
All right, so that was the Roxor unit in middle board on objective, like near or close to objective 2, hitting with that gaunt unit. So it just killed the entire unit.
So we're talking the Roxor
What is
unit that just came
consolidating
in from Benjamin.
Yep.
Yeah, killed some gaunts.
Whole unit, but yeah.
Outside your Overwatch.
How many has he got left? He has killed
just
quite a few.
He'd have less than 30 left.
Yeah.
We'll call it 35.
So it looks from the top down that Ben has some Acolyte hybrids in the bottom left-hand corner on top of a building. He has some Jackal bikes in the bottom left-hand corner. So am I right in thinking that he's got enough there to take out what's currently there? Is it just gaunts, or is there some other supporting stuff that I can't see in Stu's bottom left? Nope. All right. Okay.
And he's basically, with moving that Jackal unit there, and he's already got his Acolytes up top, he basically can take on the hand flamers that are in a crater. So he'd have to either land in the hand flamer range to get the charge on, or he's going to land out of hand flamer range and have to take neg 2 off his charge. Just to deal with the hand flamer unit in that top left, I think.
So the irony is he could actually drop, if he's got the CP to do it, he could actually drop using lying in wait with his own hand unit and just burn them out.
Yes, yeah, but that's pretty much. I think that's his best option now, and that sort of sucks because all he's doing is taking the pressure off himself, not creating it in. He's not getting anywhere from this point onward.
No.
Like he's not pushing into the enemy, whereas
Ben's got a lot of control.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because basically if he doesn't deal with those hand flamer units, there goes the green squad that just got locked on that objective.
Yep.
And basically that leaves all his characters out in the backfield, like a Malmstrope and the other Broodlord and stuff, to be pretty much, harassed by the Jackals, by the hand flamer unit, both in shooting and combat. Like, it's all bad.
So
It's
some
not a
scores
great position to be in.
a handful of scores are currently in for the round. So Queensland versus New Zealand both have a 20-point win each. A nil effect really there. VIC versus WA, which we're obviously watching the stream right now. So WA have a 20-point win and a 16-point win. And South Australia versus ACT, South Australia has a 20-point win so far. No results entered for New South Wales versus Mercs. No pairings entered for New South Wales or Mercs.
Oh, God.
Yep. Oh, well.
That'll be fun for you in the break.
Nah, it's their problem.
And you say that, but it's not, and you know it.
So far, I've been able to handball any of those issues away.
Yeah, you've been a very good ambassador.
So far, all my requests for how do I do this in Down Under Pairings, there's a big blue button that says Enter Pairings. It's like, how do I enter pairings? I'm like, press the blue button that says Enter Pairings. I'm like, oh, this one. I'm like, yes. Like, what more do you want from me? Oh well.
So I just talked to Adam there, your boy from, you're normally the second chair. So
Yep.
he's playing his tower versus the
Jake's
Admech
knight.
list.
Oh yeah, Admech,
Yep.
sorry.
So basically, it's only turn 3 or 4, I think. But Adam's 6 points up, but he's fairly confident if he can get rid of this knight this turn,
Yep.
he will table.
Really?
But it is Adam. No, I'm just joking.
Yeah.
No, but he seems confident he's in a pretty good spot. Like, there's the same sort of thing. There's no pressure. The Dragoons are dead. You know, he's still got... he's got 2 Riptides and the Commander's still alive with screens in front.
I'm assuming the Drilldos are all dead.
Yep. Drilldos and accompanying squads are all gone.
How's,
Basically, he's got 3 5-man Ranger units and the Knight left.
How's Jeremy's table, the one right in front of you, going?
All right, hang on. I just
To your
want
right.
to get...
You go. Yep.
I want to do that. Do you want to talk me through your turn then? So you're all mic'd up. So let me know about the CP usage and stuff like that, because there's a bit of things hidden from us.
Yes, so I had the Flamer Sword come down.
Yep, so that's in the top left.
Yeah, so you can have them come down and fire. Sorry, come down within 3 inches.
Yep.
Just actually shoot the flames.
And what strat's that? That's all right.
Lying in
We
wait.
know.
Comes
Yep.
within 3 inches.
Coming away to lying away to something.
What else did I do for CP?
Was there a vector?
No, that was last turn.
Okay.
Yeah, so he put his Flamer Sword there.
Yeah.
And I vectored and stopped him doing the same thing I did to him to me.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, still have to put the models down.
Yep.
To do the 3-inch move after they're deployed or during the deploy. So you're like, I mean,
Oh, so these purple ones are him.
yeah, so this purple one's right over there in the top left.
Okay,
The bottom,
so they're not yours,
bottom
okay.
left, not mine are on the top right there.
Right. Yep.
So he had to put them all the way at the back of the board, unfortunately.
And now he's moving now to deal with the jackals. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, then, how did old One Eye go?
My unfortunately died to rock stars and seen the brutal. He did his found his best judge. Got a double one,
Yeah.
and then he re-rolled it, and another one. So
There we go.
it's pretty bad.
Oh, well, thank you, gentlemen.
So old one eye took
Fluff the charge.
fluffed the charge, and then got rock sword to the face.
Yeah, so sorry, the very colourful acolytes down the bottom building that
Yeah.
we said before, they're actually
Stews.
Stuarts, yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
So that was
they were
the vector.
vectored. They were vectored.
No, we're vectored. Yep, so...
Was it a true vect off? Did he vect and then subsequently he threw another vect at the vect?
No, he vectored to stop the movement, but he still placed the models.
Yeah.
So there was not a fighting over a vect. It was just that's why he had to vect it to then, then that's why he's burnt through his 7 or 8 lines with CP.
Yeah.
Just through general usage.
Okay, so
Sorry,
those
what do you
flamers down the bottom left-hand corner can now start dealing with those jackals. Yeah.
In the jackals, yeah.
Yeah.
And then that leaves him with 2 15-mans that'll be coming down this turn because it's turn 3.
Yes. Oh, there are, and it's 2 50-mans with rock swords still to come down.
I'm just
Okay.
wondering where they're going to
From
land
Stu.
because
Well, that rock saw, that's what I'm saying. They're putting that rock saw unit right in the middle of that. Like, he can put him on the outside, but
the only place that I can see that's really potentially viable is basically where Ben's hands are at the very bottom of the table. There's space for them down there, but I don't know what that actually achieves.
So,
And that might be your only call, though.
what strats can he do that let him deploy closer?
So lying in wait will let you do it, but then you can't charge.
Okay, so clearly you don't want to do that with the rock swords.
And perfect ambush is the one that you'll probably see played, which is 3 CP, but it lets him move D6 inches after deploying.
Yeah.
remember, he's still got that chlamydia dude, whatever his name is.
Clam of this.
Yep.
Yeah.
So look,
He's still got
that
him
might
for
be
all
the
the
best
plus
way
one
to
charges.
So that might be the
so
best
the
way to do it.
250.
If you deploy one of those rock saw units up near that flamer squad, at the very top right-hand corner, with the Clamavis, and then pop.
Top left-hand corner?
Yep. And then
Yep.
pop perfect ambush to get yourself so that you're stood 6.5 inches away from them.
Yep.
And then
Charge, you're out of flamer
with plus
range.
one. Well, you've got +1 for being within range of the Clamavis, and another +1 for being Four-Armed Emperor,
Yep.
which negates the -2 for the terrain.
Yep.
At which point you're only needing a 6 on 2 dice, and if
Does the neg
the
2 still
icon-
work if doesn't the whole unit have to be in it?
no, it's
Model on model.
yeah.
Okay.
So
if, as long as he's
you're only
getting
needing a
as
6
close
on.
the first model to charge in that unit can be.
Yeah.
I'm guessing you're looking right at the where the objective is.
Yep.
With the models that aren't on the crater.
Yep.
If he picks his first model to go to that, then you're in the clear. Because you're still
No,
monitoring two.
I thought it was if any model had to hit the crater.
Yeah, but when you're charging, you don't have to all go.
No, well, that's true.
Closest to closest.
Yeah.
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 My point is though that you could set that up so that you can get a relatively reliable charge without.
Because he's basically only an inch off the edge of off the crust of the thing. He can go. Let's say I roll an 8. He puts a couple of guys within an inch, there, and then strings everything out, moving a full 8 inches to just not hit the crater. Or as much distance he needs to do that. And then when it comes to pile in 3 inches, he just piles into the crater.
Yeah, and then just the volume of attacks overkills the squad anyway.
Possibly.
100%.
But look, as I said, if you move up to be just outside 6, a 6-inch charge will get you in because you're +2 that you're getting from the chlamydia dude, and the four-armed emperor will get you. A flat charge.
7-inch charge at that point.
It's a 6.
I'm sorry for costing you all your sponsors for that naming of that character.
Mate,
by the way,
I'm the one that started it.
Sorry.
I'm
sorry.
I started it.
Yeah, but I'm encouraging it.
Yeah.
See, I still reckon I'd roll the dice on a 7 up that top. If you're going to do that, deploy them in that top corner, which looks like what Stuart's actually about to do.
Here we go.
And then I'd pop the other unit down the bottom near the hand flame, the other hand, like your own hand flamer squad. So Ben's long board edge at the bottom of the screen.
I reckon. Chuck him in the in that kind of V shape.
Here's where
Unit 1.
Here's where it's going.
Yeah, but there's both units.
And then I'd use perfect ambush on that bottom.
This is that character.
Yeah, so he's looking at putting one unit down the bottom. Did he put chlamydia up the top left as well?
No, bottom.
Really?
Okay. So in that case, then I'm assuming he'll perfect ambush the top squad then.
Yep. Because right now he had to be 9 inches away because that's the closest you can get to the hand flamer unit.
You know what these players should be using? They should be using their looking for.
I'll come back and get it.
It's gone. Have you got it? I think he stole one. We have a Godhammer Gaming TAC template or ANZ Team Championships TAC template, which has been, I think, shafted from our area. That makes it very hard to plug things.
The sponsor wants to know why you're not using your 9-inch measuring stick that you were given at the start of the event. You're letting us down, Stu. You're letting us down.
Oop. We won't talk about the fact that it's incorrectly branded. I think he's been listening to Mike Bask too much.
One day we'll actually decide what this event's called.
It's got a name. It has a name. It's in our mate.
It's every other bloody year.
Well, no, it has a name. The problem is, people don't pay attention. I don't get it. I don't know how hard it is. It's the ANZ Team Championships. Anyway, it's not that hard.
Say my name. Say it.
Say my name.
So he is perfect ambushing that top squad from the looks.
I believe that's the plan.
So 4. Was that a 4 he rolled? It looks like a 4. It's hard to tell.
Mate, I don't know how you thought you saw that, what the roll was, but mate, if you did, that's some good eyesight.
It looks like a 4.
Yeah. By the way, the proximity that he's doing it, I think he's just put himself within a 7-inch charge, I'm guessing, because of the crater. And that's, this is the annoying thing about being a stream guy. It's like, that's if they even use that rule.
So coming back to tiramisu, yes, it is the ATC, but you know what? The ANZ Team Championships is still the ATC. Ta-da. I don't know.
While I'm on stream, I should ask you guys, I got an invitation from one of the organisers to go to the American Team Championships for 2020.
Ooh.
Who's interested in putting a Team Australia or multiple Team Australias and heading to Tennessee to play in the American Team Championships?
Shotgun.
There is no way in hell I'm going to be able to fly that one. But that being said, I'll happily help out.
Well, I'm trying to convince them at the moment to use Down Under Pairings to do all the matchup process because they're still using paper for it, and they use the same process as ETC with just teams of 5.
Mate, get them in contact. You know,
I'm
how it works,
I'm chatting
mate.
to one of
Just
them.
do a joint
Chatting
chat.
to one of them at the moment, and as soon as I got more details, I'll let you know. But while chatting to him, he was live with us on Wednesday night on our live stream on Facebook. And at some point, I'm not sure how, but it was floated with the idea of OBSEC sending a team, and then it quickly snowballed into Australia sending multiple teams. So he's even saying that he'll make sure we've got accommodation and all sorts of stuff if we make the trip. So
I think it'd be fairly. I think I'd be fairly confident we'd be able to get a team go next
team
year.
5, it's pretty easy.
I think we'd be able to get 5 of the members on the Australian team that are probably willing to go as well. The tricky part now is, of course, just the amount of events that people want to travel for.
Yeah, exactly.
LVO's on the list for 2020 for a number of Australians. Like Matt Morrisoli has the free ticket to LVO, so we'll have a number of Australians that'll probably go with him. So, then throw in ETC, which we hope that we'll get again.
And then obviously this.
V Titans says my team in America will also help. Appreciate it. Chelsea says Simon is coming to LVO as well. I'm assuming that's Simon Gujcevic. So Queensland team captain.
I should say 5 Titans is a friend of ours. He sent me a message saying, he was live on his Facebook page. Said I can't join. I'm actually doing live with Down Under Network for the ATC. He said, I don't have Twitch. I said, here's a link. It's free. Come and watch us.
Mate, Twitch, bring it.
Welcome, Josh. Thanks for coming and joining us.
Is it another Josh? How many Joshes do you know?
Too many. But he's in Nevada. He's actually about to open his own store in Nevada, in Fallon. And he's a big hobbyist. And, we've been chatting to him on and off now since the start of the year. So it's good to have him on watching and joining in with the stream.
So that was the hand flamers at the Jackals just then. I think it killed 4 models.
Yeah, I can still see one of them there near is it a Neurothrope or no, it's a Malanthrope.
That unit's that strung out. I think there's one even mid-board, and then there's one underneath the awning, like a third of the way in on the bottom.
The Jackals? Man. Unit coherence.
That mid-board one's a character.
As in half of the gear. Yeah, you can't move them ever again.
Mate, you could stop him. You could stop him moving quite comfortably. All
that mid-board one is the alpha.
Like this. Yeah. It'll be the character one.
Yeah, the one in the middle of the table. I can see the sniper rifle.
Yeah. Character's the middle one, and then he's got 4.
How the hell can you see a sniper rifle?
He's watching it in 720p, mate.
Yeah, he's watching it in higher resolution than
He's got it zoomed. That's the quality that your brand puts out, Dev.
I've also having recently painted that model, know what the silhouette looks like.
Haunts his dreams still.
It's a lovely model, but geez, it's fiddly.
Oh, they're tiny. I thought they looked like a really cool unit until I saw how tiny they were.
Yeah.
Like, oh, good.
Is that a charge roll that I'm seeing now?
There's a lot of rulebook looking, but yeah, it didn't seem like he made it. Like exactly what you said. I think he's gone for. We'll go to there. He's going to rope the dope around.
Yeah, stay out of the crater.
Yeah, so they haven't enacted that rule.
Oh, well done. Well done, Stu. I'm proud of you.
He must have only rolled like a 7 or something for it then.
Yeah, it's not fantastic, but he's got.
It'll be enough. 1, 2, 3. You'll probably get 4.
But the good thing is he can't be
5?
attacked back either. Because if it was up to me, I'd just be moving the minimal distance and not opting to move again, just so I don't get repercussion attacks back. Like if you're not going to make it, don't give it to your opponent.
Yeah.
Yep.
But those acolytes, so I can see, was it like 3 or 4 in base to base?
You'll have to be more specific. Which ones we're talking about?
Up there, so that top unit with the Flamer, so the Flamer squad, the big.
Yes.
So it looks like he made 4.
3 in base. I reckon he'd get at least 7 to 8 of them.
I was going to say, I reckon there's at least 4, maybe 5 more that'll get within 1 to fight.
Oh yes. So we're
that'll
probably
be
looking at 2, 4, 6. I reckon 8 will fight.
Yeah, so that's
Just looking at it now.
24 attacks. hitting on threes if there's rock saws there as well. That's probably a good section of that unit dead. It's probably not all dead, but it's a good section of it.
4 of them are rock saws, the ones that made base.
a very important charge.
All right, so the bottom unit just failed their charge.
No.
Yeah, so that was the one with all the positives and all that. Even
Ouch.
Stu come out and, yeah, so that was that one.
Ouchies.
So tempted, like, why don't you just reroll?
V Titans. I want to battle Diff. I feel like my tower can take him on. Just me? Well, what army do I get to play?
when was the last time you had a game, Div?
The last tournament game I played in would have been, I want to say Arc. I've streamed everything since then.
Yeah.
One of the things I am looking at trying to start up, and I'd love to do it as via Twitch as well, doing some streaming so people can watch, is Tabletop Simulator. So it
I
is
struggle with that.
Mate, it looks awesome. I'm going to give it a go. Ideally, I can then invite players from all around the globe.
I definitely think it's better than Vassal.
It shits all over Vassal. Like,
Well, it wouldn't be hard.
no, it wouldn't. Jared's really laying into me at the moment. Oh, come on, bro. He says, didn't even come into Black Crusade. It's
So,
probably
Mick,
one of my
you've seen
favourite
it
events.
with the charges going off and all that. What do you reckon the
I agree.
repercussions of him failing that charge is going to be? Because this was his turn that he needed to sort of swing it not only back in his favour, but to start putting pressure on. But that middle pivotal charge being failed.
He's going to take out the Jackals down the bottom left. They're almost dead. He's probably going to take most of, if not all, the hand flamer unit up the top left-hand corner. There's a Broodlord in the center of the table that's just charged what I believe is,
I think
2,
it's the
4,
Patriarch
6.
in the middle there.
Oh, is it? Sorry. 2, 4, 6 or 7 Acolytes on Objective 1 in the center there.
I think he's actually fought, though, because he took a big bunch of them off that was strung out along the bottom edge of that unit.
Yep.
So I don't know whether that Patriarch's already fought.
This is the thing that shits me the most when it comes to gaming. So you saw how far away they were, and then that 3 inches he's just piling in a base contact and a big conga line. So now he's basically got the entire unit in. Whereas we're thinking like 5 to 6, maybe 8.
Yeah, that does seem like
So
quite a
unless-
large pile in.
Yeah, so unless they're pulling him back, which I think he's doing, it's just no.
Keeping
no,
in mind, as long as if he is within 4 inches of the edge of that crater, he's in range. Like, you go, oh, it's a big 3 inches, but it's actually 4 inches of relevance.
Yeah.
But yeah. V Titans, are you going to ETC this year by any chance? You heading over to Serbia? I'll be there. I'm sure I'm not playing. I'm coaching, but I'm sure we can. I'll borrow. Here's what I'll do. I'll see if I can convince one of the lads on
I
one
think he
of
was
the
talking
nights.
about Tabletop Sim.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll give it a go. We'll see if we can work it out. The first
Josh,
attempt,
that won't be confusing.
mate, and I'll get McGowan to commentate just to it'll be the triple Josh, triple threat. But look,
All right, I'll
more
come
than
and
happy
commentate.
to,
I'll be the voice of reason.
more than happy for a game, mate. We'll work something out.
You'd think I'd be insulted by that remark, Nick, but I agree with you.
Look, I don't know I've ever been called the voice of reason for any conversation, so it's nice to pick it up every now and again. Is that still the combat that they're rolling off at the top there?
Yeah, that's correct.
As by the by, all the pairings are now in there. So for those who are interested in who's playing who and all that jazz, you can head over to downunderpairings.com. I've just put the link in the chat for you. You can see who's playing who for this round. Ignore the time remaining. It hasn't been updated since the rounds changed, so ignore that. But for the moment, if we look at round 2, so far Queensland versus New Zealand. Queensland have 2 20-point wins versus New Zealand 1 20-point win, so 40-20 so far. VIC versus WA, no extra score since last time. WA is currently 36-4, so 2 wins to WA. South Australia is a 20-point win over ACT, no additional scores. New South Wales and Mercs both have 20-point wins. So far, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 results in for this round, and 7 out of the 8 are 20-point wins, which isn't really that surprising because obviously the earlier the score goes in, the more likely it was one-sided game.
Yeah.
So you would expect that the earlier games finished in the round will make the round look like, oh my god, there's nothing but 20s, and then out of nowhere you'll start seeing, in theory, you'll start seeing some of those more balanced games that go to time come in.
Do you want to do a scout around the Queensland table?
Well, I wouldn't mind just a bit of an idea of how Pete's going and how Jeremy's going. So Pete versus Dean to your right. Or not.
Pete, broken shoulder Pete.
Yeah, Pete broken shoulder Pete. Did you know he rose? Tell him, ask him if he rose.
Do you row? He said he was a champion at it.
He actually was, for what the record.
Six raw eggs a day, you reckon?
All right, so he's just checking in on that game. We'll see a bit of an update when we get one.
All right, so basically he's opening his ends. He's going in turn 5. Pete reckons he's going down pretty hard, but he's hoping that it ends now so he doesn't get tabled, because if it goes on, he will.
Okay.
So from the sounds of it, Camilleri was on the way to a win, and Cinebeck sounds like he's on the way to a win.
I just looked at that table, so we'll have a look see. I think Camilleri just dropped the 9, but a few things were missing from Camilleri as well, so it might have been shorn up a little bit.
Okay.
Camilleri is only 6 points ahead.
Okay, so Jake doesn't have much left, but neither does Camilleri, is what I'm hearing. Okay, so...
It might be one of those, let's show all the cards we scored throughout the game, and it might be a big blowout for Camilleri, but yeah.
Yeah. And how about... They're counting cards? Oh, so they're working out scores already. Okay.
Yeah.
And how is Jeremy versus Dom's Blood Angels going? The one behind you.
I love that you called them Blood Angels when it's 85% Astra Militarum.
I was going to say, I'm like, the Blood Angels, the Forge World.
Mate, I'm looking at his faction that he's put on Down Under Pairings. Yep. Not my responsibility.
The 3 Vultures and the 3 Lehman Russ tank commanders and the Macarius and they're all Blood Angels.
And some Smash captains.
Oh yeah, that's the Blood Angels.
What has he got? He's got 2 Smash. I'm not even going to look at the list. I'm betting you now. It's 2 Smash captains, 3 Insta Scouts.
It was going good at the start, but the guard has pulled away now. So both players in agreement, it's probably going to go to the guard's favour.
Okay,
Sorry.
So it's looking like Jez is going to go down to Dom. Pete's going to go down to Sinbeck. And it looks like Jake's going to go down to Adam. So out of that's so far we've got that'll bring WA up to 3 wins and Vic up to 2 wins.
So we're going to update on that game. We've finally got models moving to the centre. They've been staring at each other the entire game, but they're there now. So this is it'll be a pivotal push turn to see who gets more objectives.
He's probably pushing because the knight's dead.
If you get a chance, head over to the Drakari v Militarum, Daniel and Mitch, because we haven't talked about that game at all.
The Shadow Swords. Yep.
I'd be interested to know what's going on there.
Take orders from you.
You can and you will.
Hang on 1 second.
Thank you very much, V-Titans. 5 Titans.
I end up being 12 to the Drakari to the Astra Militaris 8.
Ah.
Okay, so it's a small win to Mitch. So the way
Well
I'm
done, Mitch.
It looked like the aim was smashing the Drakari, like everything was like in the back corner, hovering and hiding, but it was the racks that was like sneaking around the outside of it.
Yeah, so it looks like we're likely gonna get a small win to WA here. A
Well, WA
small
beat
win
Vic.
to WA up with Jez and Tom, which will bring it WA to 4 wins. The stream game looks like look, there's still a bit to go on it, obviously, but I mean, Ben is 10 points ahead, and this is all progressive
I'd
scoring.
say there's no pressure left from Stu.
No.
You know, from what I can see it all, and he's still got all those mortars. So that 15 man that just rocked up and didn't do anything,
Yeah,
and then you fire all the mortars into that, you know, in Ben's turn, like
Yeah.
that's pretty much the last of the pressure done. So, I don't know.
well, yes and
They
no.
must-
I mean, you might actually fire the mortars into the unit up in the top left-hand corner and ignore the one that failed the charge. So if you try and
Yeah,
take out that
it-
top left-hand corner and just walk away from it, the one in the bottom
Yeah.
left.
It just comes down to objectives at the end, how many you want to control safely and whatnot.
It's progressive
because there are
scoring.
two
It's progressive scoring,
Yeah.
so the end doesn't matter.
This is turn 4. That bottom unit's not going to see impact until turn 5 at the earliest.
Yeah. Yep.
And you've got 2 turns of shooting before it can, so you've actually got a bit of stretch there.
Yeah.
WA is definitely looking in a strong position right now to get the job done.
Well, that'll be the first time WA has ever beaten Victoria.
Ooh.
We drew with you the last year I played in 2016, but WA's never actually beaten Victoria.
Fair. Well, they didn't beat us on my watch. My bad.
Quick, Stu, flip the table. Reset the clock.
I believe there's 20 minutes left of the round as well.
Yeah, it's coming inside.
All right. Well, do you want to check how Queensland going? So I know we've got. It's worth checking out.
About half the field's finished so far. We haven't submitted their results.
Yeah, so we've got Liam Hackett got a 20-point win. Ben Warrior got a 20-point win. Ben Warrior, he is on my dream team. That's awesome. Hayden Waldock's got an 18-point win, also on my dream team. Rory got tabled, $1 billion
So
to
Eric-
17,
Eric, Simon, and Nick are still playing.
as well as Luke by the looks of it.
All right, so Luke got up because he's just giving me the thumbs up. Hang on one sec.
Goat House Gaming is
He's
that big head?
he's going to go put his results in now.
Okay.
It looks like Queensland will get over New Zealand.
Queensland's on 58 points with 4 results in so far.
They've probably got that.
Nick with his knights has probably got like 2 models left on the board. Sorry, Nick's opponent
Okay.
has got 2 models left, one of which is in combat with 7 Bulgari. So it's a suit and it's not a big one. No, I think it's the commander.
Yeah,
So that's not going to go well.
No.
But yeah, just looking at Eric's now, same thing, being a little sneak. It's not as carpety as what I expected it to be. And Eric's got a bit of a bounce in his step, so he might be worried. No, he
You
knows
reckon?
there's 20 minutes left. So, no, I don't know. There's heaps of dead bugs. There's planes still up. There's tanks on objective. That one's going to be close.
I think
Unless
Queensland
they-
get up in that round.
Yeah.
Queensland will get up, I think. Yeah.
I think Lukey had a big win. He just hasn't put it in yet.
Yeah, at that point, so you've got to assume Queensland win that.
Yep.
I think unless something strange happens, Victoria will go down to WA.
I would say WA have
Won't be a
probably
big
gotten.
win.
I would say WA probably got enough for the win already, or close to. Look, I think worst case scenario WA draw it. Vic, I don't think has anything enough in the tank to get a win. But we'll see. As I said, I mean, we're gonna if Dean and Adam both clock in 20-point wins,
then you got a round, yeah.
Yeah. But
and then looking at the results for the other 2 rounds, there's nothing in them. There's a win apiece on both sides for New South Wales and the Mercs and South Australia and the ACT.
Yep. So the WA team need just less than 40 points to get a win out of their remaining 5 games.
This looks like it'll be a win for Ben, something in the range of 14-6 or 15-5, something in that sort of space.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So assuming Ben gets, assuming Ben doesn't put the foot on the throat more, assuming this is pretty much the differential. Sure, that's a 15-5. Then you've got Jez looking like he's going to go down to Dom. So even if we should assume that was a 15-5, it might be worse. But there's 30 of the 40, and they actually technically need 38 points. And then this game, the Tau look like they're really pushing forward, which would suggest they're in a dominant position. The Knight's out of the way. So I can't see WA not getting the job done now. So good on you, lads. Good on you, lads.
Unless something weird happens, yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Like a bomb threat.
Yes. It's been. Well, that's a good thing. All
Just
right,
in real life, don't call it a bomb threat. It means I have to go home to the wife.
All right. So those in the chat, we'll throw it over to you to see what you're interested in. Next round, we can either have Queensland versus South Australia, and we haven't seen either of those teams yet. WA versus the Mercs, New Zealand versus ACT, or VIX versus New South Wales.
If I get a vote, I reckon the Queensland round will be the most interesting. Firstly, because we haven't seen the teams on the stream before. But secondly, because I think it'll be just a really interesting matchup. What
if we guarantee, or get them to guarantee Morris? Oh, it's not SA. Never mind. I just spaced there on which one that was.
We'll just put Napier on the stream.
So far, we have a one vote from Braydog for Queensland. Borny says Vic versus New South Wales.
Yeah, I'd be interested in the Vic New South Wales one.
Goat House Tabletop says Vic versus New South Wales, so it's clearly not you. As Nick Kelly. Nick Kelly, mate. Get Queensland on, save Vic's next round for Vic versus ACT, and please stream Morrisoli versus the Vic player.
No, that's a good idea.
Yeah, and Morrisoli just walks into the stream. Jared says hi. I think he said anything to trash. I'm kidding.
I'm like the guy who's sitting at the tip on the throne at the tip. I'm like the king of trash.
All right, so it looks like we've got quite a few that want New South Wales. Actually, quite a few that want New South Wales. That would be Vic versus New South Wales. Yeah, that's fine. We'll do that.
And then if Vic plays Queensland,
Because
you've got Vic versus Queensland, you don't want Vic on that.
Yeah, maybe we don't do Vic because then they'll be on the stream potentially three rounds in a row. Because we want Queensland versus Vic, I feel like Queensland are the front runners, Vic are the reigning champs. It makes sense to stream that game, assuming they play. Yeah. They're always.
If they're going to meet, if WA wins this round, it'll be Queensland and Vic round 4 would be the earliest you'd see them.
Realistically, we might see them round 5. Because I think we'd probably see Queensland versus WA round 4.
I was going to say, it depends on how you're seeding rounds 4 and 5.
It's a very good question. I think I've got a spreadsheet that tells me somewhere.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm trying to look at.
If you want the number 1 and number 2 playing for 1 and 2 in round 5, and WA wins this round, then there's no reason to think that might not be a potential outcome.
Because you definitely see Queensland versus Western Australia at this point.
Yes.
Yeah, WA will have to play Queensland at some point. Whether it's round 4 or 5, I don't know.
Queensland haven't been on the stream yet.
Queensland round 3 is my vote.
Okay.
I reckon we do Queensland next because Queensland and South Australia, neither of them have been on the stream yet.
Okay.
Yeah. And we just hope we get a good game.
Oh, look, between Simon, Hayden, Eric, like, you get a good Queenslander on there, I'm sure.
That's the problem. Yep. All right. That's what we're going to do. We're going to do Queensland versus South Australia, and we're going to hope to God that we can have some good filler. How much do I have to pay to watch Eric spank Napier on stream? That's a good question.
10,000 bits.
Yeah, get the bits going. The bits war. I actually had a game against Napier once at Terracon, and some random guy who wasn't even in our game cracked it and said they were going to report me to the TO. And Napier and I are mates. We've known each other for a very long time. He had a Necron Lord that just kept getting up. You remember the old school Destroyer Lords?
Yep.
Just kept getting up. I said, mate, how much do I have to give you right now, cold hard cash, for you to let me peg that model as hard as I can against that wall? I think we worked out it was 150 or 200 bucks. He was going to let me do it. I get my wallet out, and this guy's like, "That's so unsportsmanlike." I'm like, "No, it's not really. I know the guy." Like, yeah, it's not as if it was some random guy I've never met before, and I'm just threatening to break his models.
Like a 10-year-old
Mate, it's not like, it's not like how I treated Eric when the first time I played him.
Given the bets I've seen Victorian players make at these events, I can't say I'm totally shocked.
Yeah. Don't drop the phone. Oh. Can't hear you. You're muted still. Hold on. I think you're muted. Give me that for a sec.
24, not bad.
I don't know, mate.
Is it muted?
Did Camilleri win is the important question.
Oh, well, we've got him on. As soon as we... what have you done?
Disco Inferno?
It's got disconnected. You just...
I just closed it. One of you closed it. Nah.
No good at all.
Oh, there goes a very large unit of Gaunts.
Oh, goodbye, Gaunts.
How's this looking for Johnny Boy?
Stewie. Stewie's going... He's going down.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. That's bad.
Well, Stu's counterattack for his unit of Acolytes into Ben's unit of Acolytes will see him take back control of Objective 6.
Okay. Hello.
What?
My peoples.
Come on in.
My lovely people. I need to sit down. My legs don't do it so well.
Yeah, I reckon Ben wins this pretty comfortably at this point.
Is that Mr. Basque?
It is, man. How you going?
Good dude. How you doing?
Did you win is the important question.
I just took Dake to the cleaners. It wasn't as big a cleaners as I wanted. It was 14 sticks my way.
Okay,
Ended 2-5
With
with him having 5 wounds left on the board. If it goes 6, I table him every time. I had 3 hazard suits. They were going to move in line of sight. 48 shot. Gone. Game ended.
So far, Vic are on 46 points. WA are on 56.
Oh, this is close.
Hamilton and Matt. Look, I'm going to try and get Tom's attention. Uh-huh.
So Dean got up on Pete by a significant number.
Dean got 20.
Yeah, look, Yeah, so Dean thought the ignores cover was going to be really bad against him from the tree because he had an extra 1+ save. And he usually gets 1+ save on his possessed, which makes it really good. But if Pete goes first, he ignores cover. They've got a 3+ save, and he's -1, and Storm of Fire -2. He shreds them. Even through -2 to hit, he still shreds them. But I don't actually know what happened there because he managed to get through with a lot remaining.
I'm just looking at the points scored at the moment. So it's 54 to 46. WA, it looks like Ben will win this game somewhere around 15 to 5.
Yep, I would agree with that.
Dom and Jeremy, I mean, you guys are there. I don't know what the table looks like.
So Jeremy's of the opinion he's going down, but he's going to get 5 or 6 points out of it, he said.
So that's we're going to say 30
15-5 makes
points.
30, which means as long as Matt Ed picks up at least a handful of points from Mike Hamilton, he will. WA wins the round.
So WA should win it. I'm gonna say WA will end up on 90 points even.
You guys are tripping. We're gonna miraculously pull this out of our asses somehow.
Yeah.
Well, the best you guys can hope for is a draw at the moment.
I know. I joked with Pete about that. How good would it be if we draw?
That's not correct. That's not correct.
Can Victoria actually win it?
Well, literally, if all 3 games get 20s, they're on 80.
86. We should put us up.
Hold on. All 3 games.
Yeah,
left
he's right.
Get you 20s. That's an extra 60 points.
Yeah, in which case that'd be phenomenal, but that's not going to happen.
No.
We already know Jeremy says he's going down.
Yeah.
Which probably means it's a draw or we're bust.
Yeah.
How's this? Has this been a good game?
It has been.
It has. Yeah. I think Stewie in his turn 3 failed a important charge.
So Stewie had a great play, a phenomenal play. I don't know if you guys picked it up.
Which one?
So he takes his blips. He has to deploy stuff in blips if he wants to put them into reserve at all because he has too many bombs. He's over 1,000 points in bombs. The flamers, the 3 units of rock saws, and the bikes. Yep. It's over 1,000 points. So he needs to deploy things on blips and then pay a CP to put them in for reserve if he wants to bomb them in. Stewie vectored it. So he had to deploy them on the board. So there was 3 bombs that had to deploy on the board. And he thought there's no way I was going to use by here. So I'm very interested to know what's happened. Because in the bus ride over here, we worked that out. And we tried to get Stewie in there.
That wasn't what happened.
That wasn't what happened?
No, we know he used Vect in turn 2.
Okay.
And that was to stop lying in wait.
Echo coming from me?
Yeah, it is a little
Which
bit.
one's, what's the wording on lying on, what's the wording on lying in wait?
That's the deploy within 3 inches strat.
Oh, okay.
So it was to stop the hand flamer bomb.
We have Mr. Diffie is being crawled away on vital intelligence resourcing, gathering things of no note. He's judging. He's going to go judge some people. And he's going to judge them harshly.
Good, as it should be.
And this is how it should be.
The
Mr.
game's actually... Stuart unfortunately had a Broodlord die in the early phase of, I think it was turn 2, which would have put a lot of pressure on the top of the screens, like objective 2, and then across through to those mortars.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it died when Ben interrupted with rock saws and just chopped the Stuart failed all of his feel no pains and everything and just died.
Because it's not a tremendous amount of attacks coming from each rock saw unit. I mean,
no,
you can up to 4 with a lot of layers.
Well, there were literally only 8 attacks from those rock saws. 5 got through, and then...
Wow. That's really unlikely, isn't it?
Yeah, so, I mean, you'd bank on that Broodlord surviving that, and it didn't. So,
If they charge, no.
And
if
then,
you don't play them in the charge time, you can attack them. So, guys, just, the judge asked me. This just shows you how this relationship works. Because he knows half of everything, and I know the other half of everything. So we kind of bail each other out. But I can't do any I have no technical knowledge. Sorry, Michael, where were you?
So the unit of hand flamers that are in the bottom left of the screen, the blue ones on objective 3.
Yep, I can see them.
Ben vectored them in turn 2 to stop them deploying, which hurt Stuart significantly because if they'd been allowed to deploy, then it would have put a lot of pressure on the mid-table, which by that part of the game, Ben had an overwhelming, Ben had 40 or 50 acolytes in the middle of the table. And Ben's really been allowed to control the flow of the game. He screened really well at the early parts of the game. There's an armored sentinel on the bottom left, and he had a lot of forces that meant that lying in wait was the only real opportunity that Stuart had to deploy in that back area to try and kill those mortars, and it was just screened out and vectored.
That's well done, Ben. It sounds like he's played that very well.
Stuart also made a crucial mistake. So that crater up in the top right-hand corner had a unit of Ben's 20 hand flamers strung out in this nice long line between 2 units of Termagants.
Yep.
And Ben had left, from the looks of the image, it looks like he left about 8 inches between the 2 units of Termagants, which meant that with lying in wait and then one running them in a single conga line, Ben was actually able to deploy those 20 hand flamers between 2 units of Gaunts.
That's huge. That's massive.
And roasted
and
one unit.
Double shoots him, and
Yeah, and that cost Stuart badly because then he had to deploy.
Well, that's game losing. That's game losing. Yeah.
Well, it meant that he had to deploy a unit of his own acolytes up in that back corner and hope for a long charge through a crater to try and clear them, which he did do. But now, as you can see, there's a big scrum going on up there with acolyte v acolyte, which is.
So I was in charge of debriefing players before games for Team VIC. And when I helped, so Stewie chose this table. I had Stuart, and I said, Stuart, we should choose this table and take advantage of the craters. You put your Malanthropes in there, you put your characters in there, and then when he tries and charges, he's -2. Even if he comes closer, it's more likely to fail, and it gives you a good place to rebound and counter charge into. But if he stuffed it up on him as well, that could be pretty detrimental.
Look, I can't fault Ben. Ben's controlled this game. Ben went first, and I thought, oh, that's a risk, but and he was outscored in turn 1, and then Ben's basically just piled on the pressure from turn 2 onwards and has literally controlled 4 of the six objectives from turn 2 onwards.
Nice.
And
it's an impressive showcase in essentially a mirror match. Although I'm not sure. Well, I guess it is a mirror match, but the Gaunts you would think would almost give the advantage to Stuart because the -1 it means his shooting is not effectual, whereas Stuart's is much more.
Look, I mean, there's 14 mortars in Ben's list.
The mortars are huge in this.
Yeah.
As soon as Stuart's bombs hit the table, they got to do their damage, and then they're going to get wiped.
Yeah, which is what we've seen happen.
The charge, or is it within 1 inch of an enemy?
So did he declare the charge and somebody intervened in?
No charge for the player.
Then you can fight back. Yeah.
And then heroic intervene.
Yeah, and you can fight him. Yeah, as long as it's not the first round of combat and one declares a charge, you're fine. All good. Just had a question about heroic interventions. So when you heroic intervene, let's say I charge 1 unit and then someone heroic intervenes into me, I can't fight the guy who heroic intervened because I didn't declare him as a charge. But if it's not the first round of combat, no one charged, and someone heroic intervenes, everybody can fight everybody. Doesn't matter.
Yep.
It's only that first turn that you're beholden to the restrictions. All right, I'm going to pass this back over to Diffie, go pick up my models, and get prepped for next round and see how this. Thank you, Bask. Thank you so much. Hope you're enjoying the stream. I hope everybody out there is enjoying this. I'll see you back after the next round. We're playing against New South Wales. I need to rest my throat because I've been yelling a bit. It's pretty loud now. Sort this shit out.
I think that does it. All right. That was intense. I saw a handshake, but it was time was called, so I'm assuming there was a handshake there.
So we saw Stuart clear that top objective, acolyte v acolyte action. I don't think they've updated the points on the screen though.
It's 28 to 8 at the moment. They may not have updated it.
Stuart's gone down in points because he was 10. It was 20 to 10 a moment ago.
I don't know. All I can say it's 28 to 8 right now.
Yeah, I know. But that does make why would it go down?
Because a wizard did it.
There we go. Now it's going back up a little bit.
Okay.
Although that's gone up in kills, not in Maelstrom and Eternal War, which, again, still confuses me. I feel like there's a mistake there.
Oh, well. I don't think it's...
They know what's going on.
Well, they might.
Well, you hope they do.
But that I think is going to be enough of a win to really get the job done. I'm looking here at the Tau versus Matt A's Tau versus Hamilton's Death Watch, and both of them are just looking down. They're not actually looking. Oh, I saw a dice roll. I'm not sure what's going on. I thought the game was over. We will see. We will see. So yes, confirming we will be streaming Queensland versus SA next because neither of them have been on the stream table yet. And then that should round up this day. We'll try and do some live stream on Facebook to say hi from the dinner and shenanigans. The more wild the shenanigans. Actually, look, it's kind of like a bell curve. The more wild the shenanigans, I think the more we will probably stream until a point, and then it's diminishing returns, that's for sure.
So you're going to need to talk to them about the scoring diff, because the score at the moment on the screen reflects 35-8,
Yep.
with no kills for Stuart.
But keeping in mind, they're probably doing kill point differential.
Well, and looking at that, yeah, so Ben's
Yeah,
put in a
max of
6 for
six.
kill point differential.
Yep.
But it
which is
also
the player
still means
pack.
that Stuart's gone down in points. Not that it's going to change the result. The result is still going to be 20-0.
Yeah.
But there's something weird going on there.
Look, there's a possibility that they put points in the wrong box. There's different options of why it could have occurred. But yes, that is pretty much that game done.
Well, it just means that WA needs 12 points from Dom and Matt to win the round.
Yes,
which,
so
from the sounds of it, is going to happen.
WA are currently on 74 points. So yes, they do need 12 points to get the job done. Which I think.
Well,
I'm pretty sure this game right
Jeremy
here,
v Dom.
they get that alone. I think the Tau v Deathwatch probably gets the job done by itself.
Oh, okay.
I'm seeing some exciting smiles from Jake. Jake, the smiling assassin. He's a happy boy, which means you guys means WA's got the round. I said, I think it'll be. I still stand by my 90 points. I reckon that's what they'll get. We shall see. All right, so I might. There's like a 10-minute break between the next two rounds, so I might wrap this stream up now, so as I can get some drinks, keep hydrated, and handle anything I need to handle. And we will be back at some point. Do you know what time the next round starts?
10 minutes.
Apparently in 10 minutes. I'm going to say we'll probably be back around 4:30 Australian Eastern Standard Time, which is in 20 minutes. Give or take a bit, depending on how pairings go and any captain's rulings we have to do. But keep an eye out, and if you haven't hit follow on the Twitch channel, make sure you hit follow. It will tell you when we go live, and we'll try and do some posts on Facebook as well. So head over to facebook.com/DownUnderNetwork and hit like and follow and all that jazz, and we will keep you up to date. Will we have you, Mr. Bask, in the next round, you reckon?
Yeah, look, I'm going to try to. I've had
you can come in and
I've
out
had my
whenever you want,
children
mate.
out. I've had the children out and about all morning, but there's a couple of them who've lurked back into the house, so I will be joining you for round 3.
All right, no probs. Have fun, and we'll catch you all in about 20 minutes. Peace.